Happy Wednesday. Welcome in. This is Three Man Front. Pat, Landrum, Molly, Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. Thanks for making us a part of your, what's today, Wednesday?
It's Wednesday. Halfway home.
Takes me a full 24 hours to get over the social taco event.
You were active yesterday. Going around, a bunch of backslapping.
Shaking hands.
Yeah, you missed your calling. You should have been in politics.
Not hardly. No thanks.
You don't have any skeletons.
I am good doing what I do. I struggle to do what I do every day, so well, that's all I can do.
I think every day is a struggle in some ways for all of us. Not only occupationally, but just other things that we deal with on a daily basis, like Conrad. God bless his soul.
Oh, I thought you were saying that I was one of the things you have to deal with on a daily basis.
Well, I mean, you are.
Well, no, but
it's tough being me. What can I say?
You're like that annoying little brother. You know, what would we do without you?
Thank you, Landrum.
But we punch you while you're here.
That's right. Thank you.
Coming up on the show later on this hour, 10:45, Brian Edwards will join us, Vegas Insider. Chris Stewart, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Big game over in Starkville, Mississippi tonight. It's really interesting because they beat LSU Saturday night, but it's almost like the last couple of days, Alabama fans believe it was a loss just because of the way the game worked out, the situation with Mark Sears. So it'll be interesting to see how they rebound against a very good Mississippi State team. So Chris will join us at 11. Sean Fox, our buddy from Sports Talk 97.7 down in Ruston, Louisiana, he's going to join us. How about LSU hosting Auburn tonight? This one might be a little bit more difficult than what some people want to say it will be. I know Vegas has got a big point spread for Auburn, but as we have seen when Auburn went to South Carolina, what we saw when Auburn went to Georgia, anything can happen.
It can, and I know we're going to talk about Auburn's opponent from this past weekend and coming off a physical, emotional game, another game that went down the stretch, and Auburn should be accustomed to that just by you just get the last sample of SEC games. But going on the road, a game that you're expected to win, you're a double-digit favorite, early game, not a whole lot of flash to this LSU team. But can Auburn have the maturity? And they definitely have the maturity and the senior leadership to do it, but can they be dialed in? If I'm Bruce Pearl, I'm telling my team, look, guys, the past few times out, whether it was going to Stegman, whether it was going to Colonial Arena in Columbia, we have not played our best basketball on the road. Can we go out and kind of flex our muscles and prove that we're the number one team in the country? I think that's the challenge tonight. So
yeah, that could be the motivation because you look at Georgia with what they've been able to do at home. They have not played well on the road, but they have defended their home court pretty well. The only loss being to Auburn. Meanwhile, LSU's 10-1 at home this year, with their only loss coming against Vanderbilt. Very good basketball team. So
no one is immune on the road in the SEC or in college basketball for that matter.
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, I think Alabama, unless it's changed, Alabama is an underdog.
Yeah, I think 1 point underdog.
Wow.
Yeah.
So my guess was around 4 yesterday when we had hypothetical. So 1 point
underdog.
It's going to be a battle. Mississippi State, they obviously play a lot better there, and they can do it. Just ask South Carolina. That was a team they beat by 35 at home earlier in this season.
Yep. And Landrum just brought it up. Last night's Tennessee game, Tennessee's got some problems. And the reason why they got problems is because they continue to just not shoot the ball very well. And Kentucky took it to them. And it was amazing that Tennessee got it to the point at halftime where it looked like, okay, well, maybe they righted the ship a little bit. They got a scare with Ziegler going out. They thought that was going to be a serious knee injury, but he came back and played in the second half. But Kentucky, that's why a lot of people keep saying that Kentucky is a team that you need to pay attention to potentially for the Final Four. And they showed it last night.
Yeah, and it's a team that, along with Alabama, one of the best offensive teams in the country. They know how to score the basketball. The strength of Tennessee is obviously their defense, but you got to get enough stops. And when you get those stops, you have to put the ball in the bucket. How many threes are we going to fire up? And in Tennessee, they kind of abandoned other aspects of their game, and they started just settling for threes, and they weren't falling. Zakai Ziegler, and I know he gave it a go, and they thought he was out with a knee injury. He was absolutely dreadful last night from outside. Chaney was dreadful from outside. I think the two combined were 4 for 24, something like that. It was horrible. They jacked up over 40 3-pointers in the game. You're not going to be able to do that against a team that scores it the way that Kentucky does. And even though Kentucky was held to one of their season lows and 68 points, was that how many they
78.
78 points, but that's still under their average. You think about Alabama and Kentucky in that game, 102-97 up and Rupp. So you got to be able to score the basketball. Tennessee is just, Conrad, to me, so inconsistent on the offensive end.
Well, and you look at the last two games now for Tennessee with back-to-back losses to Vanderbilt and Kentucky, and Vanderbilt scores 76. That was the most points Tennessee had given up in a game this year. Then you give up 78 last night. So now back-to-back losses and back-to-back games where you've given up the highest point total to an opponent that you have all season long. And yeah, I mean, when you're, Ziegler's 1 for 11 from 3, kind of funny. He hit a 3 from the corner that looked like the exact same play they drew up for him at the end of the Auburn game that he wasn't able to hit. Lanier had the big 3 at the end of the first half to give him the lead, but he was 3 of 10 on the night. You got to have some offense, and I think that's also what we've seen with Tennessee come tournament time, right? Is they can't really get over that hump. They haven't been able to make it to a Final Four, and it's because when you come up against good guard play and good offenses in the NCAA tournament, look at the Florida game earlier this year, you can get absolutely blown out when you're not keeping up offensively. So, Tennessee's still good, but now you're 4-4, probably out of the hunt for an SEC regular season title, and they got to figure something out before March.
I said Chaney. I meant Chaz. Sorry. I was close.
I know.
They have a Gainey.
Okay.
They have Gainey.
I know. Maybe I just combined and merged the two names.
And Gainey dribbled the ball not even off his foot. I mean, he just lost control of it, and the ball went out of bounds.
Kentucky did that a couple times late. They were giving Tennessee plenty of opportunities.
Just don't even
23,000 fans last night went into Thompson Bowling Arena to watch that mess.
Yeah. Vols have now lost 3 of their last 4. Like Conrad mentioned, they're now 500 in the SEC. So
4-4 in SEC.
All of a sudden, that it'll be interesting to see where Lenardi and Rocco Miller has Tennessee on what line they're going to be next week. But the Wildcats get their 6th win versus an AP top 15 opponent. That ties the program record for Kentucky. Kentucky has played basketball for a very, very long time. And for them to get their 6th win versus an AP top 15 opponent, matching that back to 2002, 2003, that says a lot. That is just one of those head-scratching stats that I would have thought that they would have had a whole heck of a lot more than 6 wins versus top 15 opponents. But maybe that just shows you the indication that the SEC really wasn't very good for a very long time. So once you get into conference play, you're probably not playing a lot of top 15 opponents.
Maybe it's just me, but it seems under Mark Pope, that team is just a lot more consistent in the way that they play night in, night out, game after game, as opposed to, and I don't know if that was more of an indictment on Coach Cal or just some of the guys that he brought in that were elite pro prospects, and a lot of times they were one and done, but
they play more like a team now.
They do. And that's encouraging if you're a Kentucky fan.
Yep, and they got Arkansas coming up on Saturday night. So
congratulations.
So Coach Cal will get
Can't wait for that.
Get a handful of that one. But I go back to something about Tennessee has been relying on their defense. They average giving up 58 points a game, 4th best defense in college basketball. They give up 20 points over their average last night at home. We're not talking about them being on the road at Rupp Arena. We're talking about 23,000 fans. And by the way, there was a lot of Big Blue fans.
Yeah, there were.
There in Knoxville last night.
And a big point in the game, we talk about these runs, and sometimes they're magnified, especially in a game like that. But for Kentucky to come out in the second half after Tennessee went on that run to close out the half and have the lead. But for Kentucky to knock down, I think 9 of 12 I think that was the stat. 9 of their first 12 shots in the second half. That was really the difference, and they were able to keep that separation, and Tennessee really could never get that run going.
So Kentucky wins 78-73. The other so-called marquee matchup last night, number 13 Texas A&M, they had a battle on their hands at home against Oklahoma, but they win 75-68. So A&M, they've already played Oklahoma twice this year. So they sweep the series with the Sooners. So the Aggies are now 16-5, 5-3 in the SEC. Sooners are 15-5, 2-5 in the SEC.
Oklahoma shoots it pretty well from outside. Texas A&M, dreadful last night from the outside. But you know how you overcome that? You out-rebound your opponent 47-19.
That'll do it.
When's the last time you can remember in two quality teams playing and the other team out rebounds?
That big of a gap.
That big of a gap. That's a huge discrepancy.
Probably when Ole Miss beat Alabama. Sorry, Conrad.
I don't think it was.
Didn't mean
Yeah,
to
it
bring
wasn't
that
quite
up.
that bad, but yeah, it was a gap for sure.
It was definitely bad in the first half.
Yeah.
Big time. The other game, Georgia defeated South Carolina. So South Carolina, they are still wearing the old sombrero. They are 0 for. They are 0 for 8. And it's not going to get better. If you pull up South Carolina's schedule, Saturday they got Texas A&M. Then they go to Kentucky. Then they host Ole Miss. And, oh, by the way, to wrap up that 4-game swing, you got to go to Florida.
They're like, what we talk about with the players sometimes. You just need to see a shot go in, and then everything starts to roll. They just need to get one win.
Just one.
I mean, imagine if they had won that Florida game last week that they led for 39 minutes and 56 seconds of that game. How different does that look in terms of the momentum and the confidence that it gives you? And now it's snowballing. I mean, you started off 10-3 in the non-conference. You're now on an 8-game losing streak.
Look, South Carolina fans, beggars can't be choosers. You won 9 football games. Your women's team is right there at the top, if not the best team in women's college basketball.
Baseball still solid.
Feel like baseball. Yep, got some things righted. Wasn't Ray Tanner, but yeah, you're fine. You're fine, South Carolina fan.
So you feel like the women's basketball team at South Carolina is a dynasty?
They're pretty close.
Okay.
They've won, what, 2 in the last 3 years?
But they've been pretty dominant.
Oh, yeah.
For a long period of time.
Yeah.
The reason I bring that up, they did not make the list today on our 3-man front Twitter poll question of the day, which, Molly, has to do with dynasties.
Yeah, which historical sports dynasty do you hate the most? I like how a lot of these are Conrad's teams. The Yankees,
Only 2 of them.
Alabama football, the Lakers, or the Patriots. And right now winning, sorry, Conrad, is the New York Yankees.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Alabama was.
Well, they're
out
second.
of all of that, out of all of those choices, Yankees by far.
I voted for Alabama.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I can't enjoy anything anymore.
turncoat.
I got spoiled for so long. I can't enjoy it.
So, okay, so the Yankees are up by how much percentage-wise as the most hated dynasty?
36.9. Alabama's in second with 25.7. The Lakers are in third with 22.9. And the Pats are in last place with 14.5.
That's surprising.
I was kind of surprised
Amazing
by
what
that,
a
too.
couple years does, because people were tired of the Patriots and Tom Brady.
Yeah, the Patriots in Alabama. Those were they were tired of that.
Because for a while, there was a stretch where it was every year that the Patriots won the Super Bowl, Alabama didn't win a national championship and vice versa. So for like 10 years in a row, either the Patriots won the Super Bowl or Alabama won the national championship every year.
It's interesting that the Lakers, because maybe that just shows the demographics of our listeners, the people that follow us on Twitter, because, I mean, I know they've won Kobe, LeBron, but you and I remember when.
Showtime.
Yeah. Where a lot of folks.
Pat Riley, Byron Scott,
Worthy.
Kareem, Magic,
Rambus.
See, that's the cool thing about the Lakers is you have multiple, I guess, dynasties that you could pick from, whether it was like y'all were talking about back in the 80s or the early 2000s with Kobe and Shaq. And
that was the first.
Don't care about
remember when the
Lakers anymore.
caricature T-shirts?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I can't believe my mom, being a teacher, she actually let me wear it to school, but it was a championship, and it was like a 6-pack of beer, but it had the little caricatures of the players, and then you had Pat Riley,
Yeah.
the number one. He probably trademarked it.
Yeah.
They probably had to stop printing them.
So what happens when the Chiefs win the Super Bowl? Does Pat Riley send them a cease and desist if anybody puts 3-peat on a T-shirt?
I don't know. And there's really nothing. Yeah, the whole Taylor Swift thing, that was kind of annoying, but I feel like that's died down. Brittany Mahomes, she's been annoying at times, but
Jackson Mahomes.
it's really
Yeah,
not.
he sucks, but I haven't heard from
Yeah.
him.
I'm
in a
about to
long
say it's
time.
been a while.
But it's really hard to find a whole lot of other things about the Chiefs other than them having success and being really good to not like. Like, there's a lot of things about the Yankees I don't like.
Well, and I wanted to ask, and I think a lot of that just comes from a financial standpoint.
Why? Why? Is it because of Cole? Is it because they beat you in the World Series? Like, what is the main reason for your hate for the Yankees?
Okay, keep going. Yes, you've got a good list going. Let's go.
No names on the back of their jerseys.
Yes.
That's annoying.
That's so selfless.
Players have to have short haircuts, no facial hair. Right?
On the jerseys, it's all the numbers that you guys have retired. Nobody can have a decent number anymore.
Don't say you guys. I'm not a Yankee.
I'm sorry. I was looking at you, but I meant that directed towards you guys, Conrad.
That's a compliment. Oh, no, you've had so many great players, you're going to have to pick a different jersey number. Oh, no.
So why didn't Alabama retire all those great players?
That's a good question.
So
well, they're waiting for Tua to
Yankees
retire from the NFL, and then they're going to retire.
They're going to start Tua's going to be the first one.
He's the first one, yeah. They wanted to.
So facial hair, no names on the back of the jersey. What else? Cole's a fan.
Well, no, it's not that Cole's a fan. It's just that he goes out of his way to throw hate at my Atlanta Braves. Leyritz, that really stunk.
Okay. Because you're upsetting not only Conrad, but Mike Newton, a great friend of ours from the Friends
Mike,
of Rickwood.
You pull for the wrong team. Sorry, man.
Man.
I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I appreciate his friendship and everything he's done for the show, but, maybe pick another team. We got one 2 hours and 15 minutes away.
That's too easy. That's the easy pick. Think outside the box.
How many Yankees games did you go to last year? How many Yankees games did you go to?
Well,
how many Braves games?
1.
Rest my case, Your Honor.
Wow. So you can go vote at the three-man front Twitter site. Which historical sports dynasty do you hate the most?
Well, No Shoes Nation is headed to a new dimension in 2025. Kenny Chesney is live at the Sphere in Las Vegas for 12 shows this May and June. And you could be there, so one winner will score a trip for two to this once-in-a-lifetime concert experience, including round-trip air to Vegas, a 2-night stay at the Virgin Hotel, entry into the VIP pool party, and 2 VIP tickets to see Kenny Chesney live at the Sphere. To enter, text the national keyword LIVING to 95819. That's LIVING to 95819. Contest rules are available at joxfm.com.
When we come back on Three-Man Front, we will hear from Kalen DeBoer. He's down in Mobile, Alabama, or was yesterday afternoon. He's back on the recruiting trail, but he had some interesting things to say about how the season wrapped up, what he's looking forward to for 2025. All that next on Three-Man Front. No, everybody loves Meemaw, right? That's what Leonard Skinner's saying.
That's right.
Oh, they weren't talking about Meemaw.
You don't get this song in the 7th inning stretch, Yankee Stadium. They're probably playing like Springsteen or something.
No,
Or
they're playing
Frank Sinatra.
Come on.
Whatever. No,
Have
Sinatra's
some
okay.
class.
Hey, Landrum, I was happy to see this morning that the voice of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Gene Deckenhoff, he is coming back for another year. His 37th season for the Buccaneers. One of our best interviews of all time, Deckerhoff, right here on Three Man Front.
Weather-aware Gene.
He is coming back for his 37th year. You know, he retired from Florida State. I know FSU Dave's probably got an old cassette at his house that he plays all the time.
Gene Deckerhoff.
The best of Gene Deckerhoff. But he's coming back.
For
You're
folks,
37.
And this is just a Cliff Note story. We had him on the show, just a great, great individual. But during the course of the interview, me and Pat start hearing tornado sirens in the background, and there was a tornado
In his
within
neighborhood.
like a mile of his house. And
It's no problem.
And being the professional he was, as he's continuing his thought, he goes and gets to his place of safety. I think we heard him put a helmet on, and he's continuing with the interview.
Glad it turned out okay.
No.
But yeah, I saw that and I thought, yeah, I got to pass that along to Landrum. 37 years as the voice of the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Good for him.
Good for Gene.
Yep. Hey, Tennessee fans, if you need a lift, oh, yeah. Right there, mysticbeverage.com. That's where you're going to go. It's got the green coffee bean extract. This flavor that I have, I love the southern berry, but also the mango is quite refreshing as well. It's sparkling water. It's infused with various things, but the green coffee bean extract for the lift blend, if it's early in the morning, maybe you're not a coffee drinker or you're just trying to cut back on your coffee. If it's the middle of hosting a 4-hour radio show, if it's later in the day when you got some other things that you have to do, you need to stay on task. You can use the lift from our friends at mysticbeverage.com, but it's not only the lift. If you want a smooth, calming experience, perfect for unwinding, you can go with their Nirvanic. They have the 25 milligram Delta 8. Also, the High Hills Delta 9 available in the 5 and 15 milligram for a balanced and elevated vibe. Made in Blount County, Alabama. mysticbeverage.com. You can find it at your local Piggly Wiggly. We appreciate our friends at Mystic Beverage.
So the Senior Bowl is going on as we speak. Actually, it's the practices. The game will be Saturday. But a lot of the head coaches around college football and those not participating in the upcoming Super Bowl, they're getting an opportunity to go down to our fair state of Mobile and get an opportunity to watch practices. And Kalen DeBoer stopped in and had a little chit-chat with his former quarterback, Jalen Monroe. Listen to me. Milroe. How quickly. I'm ready to move along. He's out the door. Kalen DeBoer had this to say to the media in regards to his first year at Alabama.
We know that we need to be better, and that's the expectation I had. From day one is that we perform at a championship level, and we certainly fell short of that. Whether you're 0-12 or 12-0 in a regular season, you're always going to really critique and be detailed on how you got to improve. And I appreciate what our staff is doing, what our players are doing to really look inward, work together, and continue to move forward. There's a lot of good things already happening. It already feels just a lot different internally as we turn the page into 2025.
All right.
Make you feel better, Conrad? The first step is acknowledging you fell short of expectations.
That's right. We're on the first step of the 12-step process.
But
right?
you could hear in the other room, Conrad got a little nervous when he heard him mention the words 0-12.
I mean, come on. We can at least win 2 games like FSU this year, right? I mean, surely it won't be 0-12.
Let's just play this out real quick. Open up with FSU, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gus Malzahn.
Just has a fantastic game plan.
Norvell might have hired Gus Malzahn solely for this game.
Maybe so.
And then he'll fire him after the game.
If that happens.
Oh, that's going to be bad if they lose to Florida State in the first game. Yeah, that's
Yeah, FSU Dave's already told
Well, you
he-
light
he
something
told him
on fire.
yesterday.
Yeah, myself.
No, Conrad.
I'm just kidding. No, my Tua jersey.
Your Tua jersey? All right,
It
mark
might
it
be
down.
time.
Molly, write it down.
Might be time to move on.
10:25 on this date, January 29th,
Yeah, my Lord.
2025, Conrad Van Order has stated that he will burn his Tua Tagovailoa jersey if Florida State beats Alabama. There you go.
There we go.
All right.
Love it.
Yes.
Set in stone.
It's only the end of January.
That's right. We have a long time for that one to pay off.
So Kalen DeBoer was asked about Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson, who most of us believe will be the starting quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide once they break fall camp. This is what he had to say about Ty Simpson and his patience paying off.
Yeah, you certainly appreciate what he's done. Continue to work on what he can control, and that's himself. Continue to build relationships to get ready for this chance, that he has right in front of him to not just step up as a leader, because I think he's been doing that, but to have that opportunity to step in and be the quarterback.
He was also asked about Ryan Grubb, something that we have talked a good bit about on this radio show. Doesn't give us a lot here, but he does talk about how close he and Ryan Grubb are.
We go way back, great friend of mine, and think the world of him as a football coach, obviously as a person too. And so I know he's working through his process, just kind of after what last season brought. And so, just kind of seeing what he does there, and here for him whenever he needs me. That's always going to be the case.
So you think it's a situation, and I'm just spitballing here, I don't know anything, I'm just asking, do you think it's a situation where Grubb perhaps is having maybe some potential of an NFL offer, and if maybe those things don't pan out, that he ends up coming to Alabama, not as a so-called on-the-field coach, but maybe as some form of analyst or a special assistant, because that's what Chuck Morrell was last year.
Mm-hmm.
And now Chuck Morrell is going to be on the field this year.
Yeah, I could see that happening. And there's a reason he had the opportunity to come to Tuscaloosa. Well, he did.
He did.
For a very limited.
Giving speeches on the rubber chicken circuit.
A limited time, but there's a reason why he took a job in the NFL. And I have to believe that either he's just always aspired to coach at the top level of football, but also couple that with lifestyle and the grind that is college football. Maybe he's just kind of over that. But yeah, I would think with at least some of the coordinator spots, positions, whatever, working through that process, maybe he can land with another NFL team this season just to keep his name in there. But if not, yeah, I could absolutely see him going and just staying in it, if for anything else. But I think it's pretty clear that after one season, Kalen DeBoer is not going to throw out Nick Sheridan. Put him out on the side of the road, as Mike Rodak told us the other day. And just a mental picture of that. I was just thinking, like, he's got his Alabama.
Well, he could have done
travel
that.
bag.
Home,
they went over to a Falcons game. They could have very easily, he could have left him over there.
Yeah.
Well, and I imagine
you never came back to the seat.
Yeah,
You moved.
Maybe that's what the conversation was, though, of I'm not going to get rid of Nick Sheridan. So if you come back here, you're not going to be the OC like in title. So if you want to wait around and get a better offer, do that. And if nothing comes your way, then
you're always welcome in Tuscaloosa.
Happy to have you.
Yeah. So listening, it was like a 10-minute walk up impromptu presser that he had yesterday in Mobile. So as I was watching this, and we've already played 3-4 cuts already. And listen, I mean, no offense to Kalen DeBoer, everything you've just heard him say, I mean, this is all coach speak. Okay. That's what it is. So when he was asked about Ryan Williams, though, he went on longer about Ryan Williams than he did anything else about this football team. Listen to this cut with him discussing Ryan Williams, and you can tell, listen to his tone and tenor about how genuinely excited he is about Ryan Williams.
Well, a year ago at this time, we were pretty excited about the commitment, right? And that's what it was that he had made to come play football at Alabama. And you got into the summer and you're like, wow, this is fun working with him. And then we saw what he could do in the season. I know that he's got much higher goals than what he accomplished this year, and that's individually and as a team. I'm really excited about him taking the next steps as a leader now, and he's going to take care of his business and do what he needs to do, and we're going to be there to help him refine the things that are going to make him, the best of the best. But, he's a team player through and through. We saw that all season long. He and, Germ kind of coming back as the leaders of the receiving corps. I'm excited about what they bring from a mindset when your best players are, your best people and highest character guys, it's exciting what it can become. And so we have that at the receiving corps. We've added some guys too, with the early enrollees, the newcomers. And so I really like the way that group's going to come along under their guidance and leadership.
There you go. Talk about Ryan Williams and how important it was a year ago to be able to secure him. Remember, he had decommitted, and then he came back to Alabama. So you could tell that he is very fond of him. And Germ. Did you realize that Germ, that was his?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Speaking of Germ, Jeremiah Smith reportedly he got offered $4.5 million, $5 million to be lured away from Ohio State, or for Ohio State to keep him. I would think that wouldn't Ryan Williams probably command somewhere in the ballpark of that kind of money?
No, because he just loves Tuscaloosa, so he can't be pried away.
No cost, right?
Yeah, no, they're not paying him anything to stay there. No, I would think if Jeremiah Smith's getting 4.5, I would think Ryan Williams would probably be in the maybe $3 million range, something like that. A little bit under Jeremiah Smith, just because everybody again seems to be enamored with him right now.
Well, he's the best wide receiver that's ever walked.
He's the best football player.
Football
of
player
all time.
That's right, football player.
Well, when we come back
Male
on three-man
athlete
front,
ever.
there is a story out right now from Front Office Sports detailing how much Carson Beck has made over the course of the last 12 months. It's going to shock you. That's next on Three-Man Front. I've never put pen to paper on how much money Carson Beck made this year, but Front Office Sports has got a video and a story out right now and kind of detailing how he took advantage of strategic partnerships and things of that nature. So we'll kind of have that discussion coming up in just a moment on Carson Beck.
Well, we're currently in the middle of flu season, so make your home healthier with Trane's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. It removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those that cause virus, is 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. So go find a dealer near you at Trane.com.
So just off the top of your head, I mean, I'll be honest with my assessment. Before I read this, what did you think off the top of your head that maybe over a 12-month period that Carson Beck reportedly was making as the quarterback at Georgia?
Just at Georgia, this is prior to Miami deal.
Mm-hmm.
But this is everything, not just.
This is everything.
Everything. Okay.
Now let me back up. I do not know if this was before Miami.
Okay.
So it just says within the last year. So I don't know if they're including that.
Okay, I'll give you 2. Without Miami, I would have said $5 million. With Miami, $9-10 million.
Okay.
I feel like we're about to be really shocked by this number. I'm going to say $12 million.
Okay.
Something crazy.
I'll go 10 million.
10 million?
Mm-hmm.
I would have gone, and again, I do not have this, whether they include Miami or not, but I would have gone just at Georgia, I would have said 3 to 4. And then whatever Miami's on the hook for. So I was going to say, if you combine the both, I would say maybe 7 or 8, maybe. Now, according to Front Office Sports, it was not the 12 million that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
It was 10 million.
Okay.
It says he navigated his opportunities through strategic partnerships. He secured historic agreements, obviously with the plane company, obviously the car dealership, got his free car. So I don't know if that's actual cash in hand or the value of these partnerships.
Gotcha.
Do you see what I'm saying? So it was record setting, made more than anybody else in the NIL business this last year, according to Front Office Sports. 10 million.
Man. But that surprises me that he made more than anyone else, because we have heard that Jalen Milroe was around the $10 million mark. And I think that probably includes value. I don't think that Jalen Milroe was driving a Lamborghini, but I'm sure it wasn't a Pinto.
No, but he had his nice cologne deal and some of these other things that factored into that. Yeah.
I knew he had a deal. I think he was doing stuff with Crane Works.
Mm-hmm.
He had Roback, the clothing company. What else did he have?
That, from what I understand, the cologne one was big money.
Was it? Okay.
7-figure money.
Do you have that in your cologne arsenal?
I do not.
You do not?
I do not.
What's it called?
Turnover?
I have no idea.
Turnover.
Is that not what it's called?
I don't know. I don't know. The smell of victory. Maybe that should have been.
Really? You got to smell it 9 times this year.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say something in an attempt to be funny, but it was just hateful, so I'm not going to say it.
Oh, you mean my line being a turnover was not hateful?
Well, no, it was even worse than that. Well, we know he's made apparently a lifelong soulmate that he is now united with there in Coral Gables.
I thought you were talking about Jalen Milroe.
And Hannah.
Wait,
No, I'm sorry. I was going back to Carson Beck. I don't know. Maybe Jalen Milroe has somebody special too.
I've seen someone on social media during the season.
I don't know.
That he would do some posts on TikTok with.
I don't know.
Don't know if that's his friend or significant other. I do not know.
Not familiar.
Molly is checking now. Molly.
I was about to say Molly will know where she was.
Molly
born in 5 minutes.
she's really good at this. She's I don't even know.
Within seconds, she figured out
sleuth.
who Andy Kennedy was.
Yeah.
With an I.
She found out when we were talking about Riley Leonard entering the portal and maybe Auburn being, she found out where his girlfriend went to school and the Auburn connection there.
I found out
the
what
family
sorority Bill Belichick's girlfriend was in too.
Yeah.
And that she was a sweetheart of a frat. I can find out anything.
There you go. If you need a PI.
There you go.
There she is.
Molly Robinson, LLC. PI.
What are you looking up now? Oh, you found her.
You found
See,
her.
he found her. Told you.
Easy.
Do they look like they're in a relationship?
Potential.
I just didn't know if the body language was saying anything to you, Molly. I didn't know.
Yeah, break it down for
Well,
us,
they're just
Molly.
doing a little dance, but they're not like.
We know the song.
Well, I'm not. I don't know the song.
Is it
Do a little
Lipa?
dance.
Oh,
Do you
Make a little love.
just in that
Get down tonight.
in that quick social media clip? Does she look like someone who could take away his attention from winning football games?
And you're really taking a deep
Wow.
dive on this now.
I'm looking at some other sources.
I want an explanation for 9.
I mean, is this
9
like
wins.
the?
me too.
I want an explanation.
Me too, Landrum.
Landrum wants to know if this is like the Cavender twins.
Oh yeah, maybe she has a twin.
I found her.
Does she play basketball?
Oh.
You found her account?
No, but Jalen Milrow has posted with her. She's
Oh,
pretty.
okay, then they're definitely.
She is
yeah,
pretty.
then they
What's her
gotta
name?
be.
What's her first name?
I think Elise.
Elise.
Attractive
That's
young lady.
That's a pretty name.
Oh, good for him. I didn't know.
That one picture you
Genuinely
just
didn't
showed,
know.
she looked very elegant. Was that it looked like some kind of evening gown, but it was during the warmer months because it
Oh,
was.
let's check in the tagged photos.
Yes.
We're gonna know everything about this person.
I'm very disappointed that you didn't know this.
I
Maybe
stick
that's
to
your
the,
problem.
The product on the
You
field.
have taken your eye off the ball when it comes to Alabama football.
That's right. I will make sure the next year I'm up to date on who all of the players are in relationships with.
We'll have Valentine's Day on Friday, February 14th. So maybe we have a special segment where Molly can go around the SEC.
SEC
And-
matchmaker?
Not matchmaker. She can just bring to light some of the special relationships we have with our talented student athletes and their significant others.
Was Tua involved with someone at Alabama while he played?
I don't know.
Because him getting married in Miami, that a lot of people were
He's very private.
yeah, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. But
Mhm.
I do remember a lot of the people that cover the Dolphins. The marriage came as a surprise, and then it was even a more surprise when he had a family.
He's just a stand-up guy, Pat. What can I say? He likes to play it close to the vest.
I found her Instagram.
Oh my
Follow
gosh.
her. Follow her
that's
from
not
the show
surprising.
account.
No, she's private. You
Yeah,
can't see anything.
No, I know. Follow her. Send her a direct
Yeah.
message and just send her a little questionnaire.
Just say, hey,
We're curious.
pulling for you guys.
And her profile pic is her with Jalen Milrow.
Yeah.
There you go.
Give her the text line number. See
And
if
her
she'll text
name
in.
isn't Elise. It must be her middle name.
Oh,
Her name is Hannah.
okay.
Oh, another Hannah? That's crazy.
Some
telling
things you
you.
just can't make up, can
Yeah.
you, Landrum?
You can.
No.
Coming up next till
Find out
3-man
Jackson
front.
Arnold's girlfriend. What's her name? If it's Hannah,
The one he
this is
cheated
weird.
on or the other one?
Did he?
No, he said Arnold.
Arnold.
Oh,
Not
sorry.
That
Dart.
was Jackson Dart.
Sorry, I thought we were
Come on.
No,
Who's-
Dart's
who
old
is
news
D-
now.
who is Diesel Dart dating?
Brian Edwards will join us next on 3-Man Front. We'll run some basketball items through him, and as well as talk about the Super Bowl, who he likes very early on. This is 3-Man Front on Jocks 94.5. 1048 Jocks 94.5. A reminder, you can go vote on which sports dynasty you hate the most. Yankees, Alabama football, Los Angeles Lakers, New England Patriots. Mike Newton just texted me, Conrad, telling me to tell you to hold the rope. Hold the line.
Hey, I got it. I'm
Yankees.
not scared of Landrum.
Yeah.
Should be.
Joining us now on the Buyers Right Hotline. I know that he doesn't hate anybody. He loves everyone, especially when they make him money. Brian Edwards joins us, Vegas Insider, MajorWager.com. What sports dynasty did you hate the most? Yankees, Alabama football, Lakers, or the Patriots, Brian?
Lakers and Yankees. Now, I just don't care about baseball the last, dozen years, so I guess I would give Lakers the number one these days. But growing up, I was not a fan of the Yankees, that's for sure. Did like the Celtics. Celtics, Yankees, Lakers are my top three.
All those Northeastern teams. Not a fan.
Where are the Dodgers for you?
Growing up a Braves fan, we had some Jerry Royster's booted grounder in the early 80s was a tough one.
That was bad.
Chavez Ravine, and R.J. Reynolds was the Braves killer. Wasn't that his name? Yeah, R.J. Reynolds.
Nice. Bring back some memories. All right. I don't want to start this interview out on a bad note, but, man, that Miami Cal game Saturday night.
I thought we were going to get lucky at overtime.
I did too.
The lead to 8 twice, and then Miami hit those threes late. Yeah, bad pick. Went back to it one time too many. I hope you had the first half, though. My article pointed out to take the first half and the team total over as well. I was still a loser. I mean, because I had way more on the game. But the first half of the team total going over lessened the blow a little bit.
All right, well, let's talk about tonight. Let's start what's happening over in Starkville, Mississippi. Some folks are a little bit surprised. I know it's a gauntlet in the SEC, but Alabama is an underdog on the road at Mississippi State. Alabama coming off a less than stellar appearance against LSU. They did win the game. They did not cover. Tied on the road, plus 1.5. Who you like here?
I like the Tide. So I made Alabama a 3-point favorite. We saw after the Ole Miss game when they laid that egg and lost by double digits at home, Oates was not happy after the game, had a bunch of, negative comments about his players, himself, the staff, and they came out and played like gangbusters at Rupp. He was not a happy camper the other night either. He benches Sears. I feel like he benched Sears earlier in the year as well. So I think they've had a couple of tough days of practice, and I think we're going to get the type of – not that it was a loss, so bounce back, I guess, is not technically correct. But just in terms of Oates being on his boys at practice, I think they're going to come out like gangbusters tonight. Obviously, the Hump is not an easy place to win. Mississippi State has a very good team this year. But look, Bama's A game, I think, is better than everybody's A game. Now that Brim's back, you can make an argument that Auburn's got a better team. But when Alabama's got its A game going, I don't think anybody else's A game is going to beat them. Now, they're on the road. They don't not going to necessarily have their A game tonight. But I think we'll get a strong effort from them, and I'll go Bama as a dog.
Enlighten us, Brian. In college football, it's said to be worth 3 points as far as having home field advantage. What is it in basketball, in college basketball?
Yeah, I think about the same, maybe even a little more sometimes. But, I just think that I don't think we're going to get an Alabama dud. I don't think we're going to get many Alabama duds down the stretch. We got a dud against Ole Miss. We got a dud against LSU the other night. So I think they bounce back strong tonight.
All right, how about Miami? Are we back to fading them after what happened on the West Coast? They take on Virginia tonight, and I think the Cavaliers are only a 1-point favorite.
Correct. So I said, after Saturday night, I looked at Miami's schedule, who was coming up, and I said to some friends Sunday watching NFL, I was like, man, Miami might actually be favored on Wednesday against Virginia. And I go, I'm not getting aggressive on it by any stretch, like these other plays that I've been touting on my Twitter, the last 3 or 4 Miami games. I'm not going to be aggressive with it, but I do have a small play on Virginia. Miami, they still lost all their ACC games. They've lost by double digits in, let's see, I'm trying to look at my article. It's either 8 of 9 or 9 of 10. And I'm struggling to find. Oh, wait, here we go. So they've still lost 9 in a row. They're 1-9 against the spread their last 10. They've lost all 9 of their ACC games, and they've lost 8 by double-digit margins. But again, not a lot on UVA tonight. And I'm also going to play the over 135. So Miami, 19 of their 20 games have had at least 137, and the total is 135. 19 of 20 have gotten at least 137, and tonight's total is their lowest of the year at 135. And Virginia's not as much of an under, Tony Bennett type of team as they've been in the past. So often when we get their totals, a lot of times be 105 to 115. They're not that big of a grinder team. This year, obviously, they're not as good defensively. So over 135 and Virginia +1.
Obviously, the game, Brian, that we're going to be paying attention to here in this part of the country is going on at the Sanford Coyote Sports Center in Vermillion, South Dakota. You got Omaha taking on South Dakota. This matchup of Titans out of the Summit Conference.
All right, we're just going on numbers here, guys. The over's on a 13-2 run for South Dakota to improve to 15-3-1. Their last 7 overs combined scores of 195, 180, 174, 223, 175, 179, and 179. They're fifth in the nation in scoring. They average 86 a game, and they're ranked number 357 nationally in defensive efficiency at KenPom, and they rank 8th in offensive pace. Over 169, Omaha and South Dakota.
Over 169.
All right.
If I play a game, it's going to be that one because you took the time to do all of that research on those two teams.
All right. Before we let you go, I love a parlay. I'm a sucker for a good parlay. Give me a good money line parlay tonight.
All right. So we are going to go with all home teams, all pretty heavily favored. The payout is not that good, but it's +128. But they're all 4 heavily favored, and they're at home. Boise State, Utah State, Stanford, and Ole Miss. That's Boise State at home to Nevada, Utah State at home to UNLV, Ole Miss at home to Texas, and Stanford at home to, oh gosh, I'm blanking on who they are at home to. Oh, here we go. I got it here. Oh, Syracuse, which is awful this year.
They are
so
awful.
+128 payout. Boise, Utah State, Stanford, and Ole Miss.
You said that's +128 payout?
Yeah, not very good, but for a 4-teamer. But
hey, a win's a win.
Pretty good about it.
Win's a win. I gotta make something up after taking California and the points against.
Oh, Omaha. Their nickname is the Mavericks. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Coyotes of South Dakota.
Well, listen, Brian. When we get back together next week, I cannot wait to hear all the in-game parlay action you've got for the Super Bowl. A lot of player props.
Yes, I'll have plenty of plays, fellas.
It will be a lot of fun.
I'm leaning heavily to the over. That might be my favorite play.
Okay. Wow, you're already giving us a tease for the Super Bowl. Love it.
I'm surprised that you didn't give us a little insight on West Georgia and Central Arkansas. Those two teams are combined 9-33.
Touche.
Hey.
Touche.
He's hanging up the phone now before he does other interviews, and he's going to do research on that. Hey, Brian, have a great week, man. We'll talk to you Super Bowl week.
Y'all as well. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. That's Brian Edwards, Vegas Insider. Coming up next on 3-Man Front, the voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Chris Stewart, will join us, brought to you by Craneworks. This is the Wednesday edition of 3-Man Front. It is 11 o'clock here on Jocks 94.5. This is Three-Man Front. Pat Landrum, Conrad Molly with you until 2 o'clock. The voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. He will join us momentarily, brought to you by Craneworks. You know, water can find its way into any crawl space, bringing dangerous mold, mildew, and wood rot into your home. But APS can protect your home's foundation and provide valuable storage space, too. The APS crawl space encapsulation system can stop that water, keep the pests out while lowering your energy costs. The engineers at APS can help you today. Call them 205-951-9717. Start protecting your home today with APS, established in 1977 to solve the most challenging issues around your home. That's 205-951-9717. Or visit their website at alabamaprofessional.com.
Everything you need to know about tonight's game in Starkville between the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Voice of the Tide, Chris Stewart, presented by Craneworks.
Lift it, load it, grade it, grind it, move it, haul it, rig it, dig it, Craneworks, Rentalworks, yeah, the big dog's got it.
Crimson Tide Network's Chris Stewart on Three-Man Front is brought to you by Craneworks. Lift it, buy it, rent it. The big dog's got it. And now, Chris Stewart.
Chris joins us on the Buyer's Right Hotline. Happy Wednesday, Chris. How are you?
Guys, I'm good. How are you?
We're doing great. I'm always interested in logistics and travel schedules. Are you in Starkville now, or do you make the drive over same day?
I'll drive over in just a few hours. Drive over and stay back in Tuscaloosa because I've got Coach's TV show tomorrow, and we'll record it. But yeah, I'm just going to drive over a little bit later this afternoon. It's an easy one, the easiest in the league. Most people probably realize, nobody cares actually, but most probably know that, you know, geographically it's closer to Starkville than to Auburn from Tuscaloosa. So those are actually the two closest schools in proximity in the league. So easy to make, especially on a pretty good day like this.
Yeah, and looking back at this series, and this dates all the way back to early 2000s, and maybe some of that had to do with recruiting battles for certain players. But Alabama, they've commanded this series as far as the win-loss record, but this might be one of those series, while on paper it looks lopsided, it's kind of one of those hidden rivalries we see in the SEC when it comes to basketball.
It is, and to me, it's not an exact mirror of football, but you know, we say this all the time because it's the truth. Most of the time, that Mississippi State football game is one that you just dread because everybody expects you to win it, but it's really tough, physical, tough to get out of there with the win. Basketball, they have been more competitive, much more so in terms of wins and losses, which means that it only proves or holds true that much more on the hardwood. This is a really good team that Chris Jans has right now. I mean, we're 17-3, but they're sitting there at 16-4. They've had a couple of games that could have flipped easily the other way. They're strong. They're physical. They play tough. They have really adapted to what Chris Jans likes to do. And man, I've been impressed with what he's done. I know Nate Oates is, and it's a team they have a lot of respect for, and it's dangerous. It's a very, very tough ball game that we'll see Alabama play against State tonight.
Chris, I want to take you back to Saturday night, the game in which a lot of people are talking about. Alabama gets the win, but as that first half was unfolding, Mark Sears was 0 for 5 from the field. Did you sense the lack of effort, not just from Mark Sears, but from maybe other assets on that basketball team that maybe tried to get their attention there in the second half? Did you notice anything that stood out to you in that first half?
No, guys, I really didn't. I mean, you know, there are times where you can see obvious stuff, but you both do play-by-play. You know, you're, especially on radio, you're trying to keep up with the ball. You're trying to, you know, identify what's going on there. And Mark was involved in a lot. And yeah, I knew he was scoreless at the half, but that's it. While it's uncommon, forgive me of all times for the AirPod to die on me. we'll go this way. He's a guy that, especially last year, it was crazy. If he had 16 in the first half or 2, he was going to wind up with 20 by the time we got to the end of the ball game. I mean, it was just incredible the way that he could go about getting to that number every time out. And as I am looking on the floor, identifying the starters for half number 2, I realized, okay, I've called 5 names and he's not one of them. And so I'm looking around, and I thought maybe it was a case of something we saw, I think, with the Illinois game, where he wasn't playing as well and said, hey, stick with a hot hand. That's the first thought for me. Then it's like, hope he's not hurt. And then we find out, that he's not. So that's a long circular way of saying, no, I didn't notice anything that was that would lead me to believe that he didn't, that he wouldn't play in the second half. But as I also expected, this has all been taken care of, dealt with. There's been no kid that's represented the program any better on and off the floor than Mark throughout his tenure. Nate Oates his past shows he's going to coach you tough. He's going to coach you well. And his first objective is the team. And he's going to do it the way he thinks he needs to do it. He holds himself accountable. He talked about that just like everybody else. And by the time this game is over with tonight, I'll be surprised if there is any more conversation about it. I know that can happen. I know that there will be eyeballs on it just because of who Mark is, how talented he is, and how different this is. But again, I will be surprised if it's not back to business as usual by the time things wrap up this evening.
Voice of the Tide, Chris Stewart, courtesy of Craneworks, joining us on 3-Man Front of the Buyers Right Hotline. The good news is, and you would always like to have your team leader, your senior, he can easily put up 20-plus points per game out there. But Aiden Holloway, just a silver lining for that guy, for him personally, but also for Nate Oates to find a way to exploit all of his talents in something we didn't see a whole lot last year in Auburn.
Yeah, and I've forgotten, what did he have, 35 appearances with 26 starts last year and made the all-freshman team at Auburn. So including 52 threes, made for Auburn. So this is a guy that did some really good things. He struggled with consistency. And look, Bruce has done an amazing job, and they've got a great team and great program, and obviously number 1 in the country and deservedly so, and win the tournament, the SEC tournament last year. But sometimes pieces don't fit, even though they're really good. But he is an exciting player who fits this Alabama system perfectly and really enjoyable. I mean, he's already got 46 made threes this season. He had 52 all of last year, and we haven't even gotten to the back half of, we just, I guess, a game away from being at the midway point of the league. So he's going to eclipse that easily, that number. It's a system that fits him better. And again, it's, I'm glad he's wearing the uniform that he's wearing. He's a major part of what this team is doing and why they're top 5 and have been for the most part.
Chris, when you look at this basketball team this year and in years past, I think when people look up and they see that Alabama leads the nation, averaging 90 points a game, people anticipate, if they tune into an Alabama game, if you're not a Southeastern Conference basketball fan, you anticipate that you're going to see Loyola Marymount. You're going to see a team just running up and just firing threes every 4 or 5 seconds during their possession. Yeah. As opposed to this year's Alabama's team, they do not shoot the ball extremely well from the outside. But when they have the inside and the outside game going at one time, it is very difficult to defend. Just kind of compare and contrast how this year's team is a little bit different than the ones previously under Nate Oates.
Well, the team last year was struggled in the non-conference because there were so many new pieces. I say struggled. They had a couple of losses they shouldn't have had, and it did take them a little while to get going. But then when they got into the league, they go into the last 2 weeks tied for first, and just missed out on getting a third regular season championship or part of it. In I guess the first 5 years under Nate, but they have more weapons right now. Losing Latrell Rifle obviously hurt. He was shooting 42% from three when he got injured and had the Achilles tear and had the season come to an end. They're still shooting it at about 33%, which is not terrible at all from three. You want it to be higher, but it's not terrible. But they're so good at getting to the rim and then getting to the free throw line. Their numbers at the stripe are a little bit disappointing. They're 71% for the year, and that's actually where they are for conference play, maybe just a little bit above that. They've had some games where they were really bad, around 50, 55%, but some other games like the one against Kentucky where they shot it extremely well and needed all of them because they were shooting it at a high volume as well. But look, the objective is layups or threes. It's not that they won't take a mid-range jumper or something from about 8 or 10 feet if they get it, but they're really trying to get to the rim, kick out for a three if the layup's not there, or get a trip to the free throw line. And that's a pretty consistent formula, but a pretty successful one. And hopefully it's one that will pay off for them again tonight in Starkville.
Speaking of formulas, for this particular team, Chris, and what you've been able to assess through up to this point in the season, is there a particular style of play that you think bothers this particular team, or maybe just Nate Oates' style in general the most, and maybe a reoccurring theme against particular styles of play that they struggle with?
Well, the one I can simply point to would be Ole Miss, where they didn't play well. But Ole Miss does a great job of making you look ugly at times because of how at least how they were playing when they faced Alabama. They guard like crazy. They're tough. They're physical. There'll be some similarities with Mississippi State. And if Alabama's not able to run and move, and have take care of the ball and not waste possessions. You can miss shots, but don't waste possessions with turnovers. That particular night against Ole Miss, I think they only forced 7 turnovers from the Rebels, but turned it over 21 times themselves. And about the first 4 or 5 of those were more giveaways than takeaways by Ole Miss. Teams that will try to make it an ugly game tend to have more success than those that just run and push with Alabama, because they can do that as well as anybody.
Chris, I know that we said before the season began that this could be a historic year for the Southeastern Conference in basketball. And when you look at the standings today, and Tennessee is sitting there at 4-4, that just kind of tells you how difficult this league is.
Could not agree with you more. That's one that I really thought, what do we go there in 2 weeks, maybe?
Yeah.
3, I can't remember. I'm sitting there looking at it. I'm going, this is going to be the game. This is one that will go such a long way towards determining the league champion. And then also looking at the game last night, I'm going, wow, as good as Kentucky is, and they're really good, either Kentucky or Tennessee is going to have 4 losses when this thing ends, no matter which way it goes. When for Alabama and Auburn to be Auburn's leading the league, Alabama the only one-loss team right now, trailing them in the conference, and it's Florida, Missouri that are next, and then the mix of Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Vandy, and Kentucky are the 3 loss teams. After that, it's incredible. It's incredible. It's why tonight and Saturday, while Alabama's going to be favored in both, are so important because you can't afford to fall 2 games behind Auburn. You're going to play them twice still. The final game of the year, I think, at their place, or next to last at their place. And you've got to make sure that they are within arm's reach by the time you get to those games with them. But that won't mean anything if you don't handle business now.
And who would have thought a win over Vanderbilt coming into the season would be such an impressive win for anybody who's able to beat Mark Byington and that Commodore team? That it really makes me appreciate the way that Alabama, and they had a big lead in that game for much of that game, and Vanderbilt kind of made it closer than it really was towards the end. But that is a quality basketball team.
No, it is. And they're just an example of everything. I'm looking at the bottom, okay, of the league right now. There's LSU, Arkansas, South Carolina. South Carolina didn't have a win. Yet I think that in their first 7 games, 5 of their losses were by 5 points or less.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 possessions in the course of a game. Arkansas's got as much talent as anybody. They got about as much NIL as anybody. And even though they lost one of their best players, they were sitting at 0-5 when they lost him. And they got Cal as their coach. LSU's not terrible. LSU played their best game, some people told me, against Alabama, and thankfully the Tide got the win in that one. But, there's some talent on that team. Georgia had a chance at Auburn. They're a 2-win team. So, I could go all the way through. They're going to be teams that are left out of the postseason period. There's going to be a handful left out of the NCAA, but the SEC tournament is going to be as competitive as any round of 32 and most years of the Sweet 16. That's how good the league tournament, I think, is going to be, especially when you get down to the final 3 days. What you're going to have there will be as tough as you find anywhere beyond that in the NCAA tourney.
No doubt. He is Chris Stewart. He's going to be on the call courtside in Starkville tonight at the Hump. Alabama, Mississippi State. Tip-off scheduled for 8 o'clock. And Chris joins us every single week, courtesy, Chris, of our friends at Craneworks.
Craneworks, and tell you sometimes about Rental Works, where instead of making the purchase, you can rent equipment, obviously, but Wasteworks is that other division. And I actually made a little start on the garage. I know I was talking about it. It got up above 50, so I got a little work in the garage this morning. Wasteworks is a Craneworks company providing roll-off dumpster rentals in the Birmingham area. They got a range of sizes, fast service. They are your local source for dumpster rentals. Just visit wasteworksusa.com to get a quote today.
You'll feel so much better, Chris, once you filter through all that stuff. You just get rid of it.
No, I won't, but at least I will have it done. At
Really?
least I can park the car. At least I can park the car more comfortably in the garage.
Are you a hoarder?
Excuse me, sir?
Are you a hoarder?
Yeah, I'm glad you clarified that.
Hoarder.
Chris.
I'm sorry, I had you on speaker. I just needed you to enunciate.
Yes.
Because you never know with Landrum. You've known Landrum for a long time, Chris. So I'm glad you got him to clarify that.
If you have to ask, and I'm assuming I'm not.
Well.
No, in relation to what your actual question was, I've kept, we're all guilty of it. We've got, stuff, memorabilia, whatever that we think is important until we start trying to move it again and go, why do I still have this? So, man, I've got game notes, I've got rosters, I've got programs. And the thing that's sad is some stuff that I really would like to find I can't get to because I've got all garbage in the way. So I'm trying to weed that out so I can get to some of the cool stuff that I know I've got in storage somewhere.
Yeah, everybody's got something. My wife has got more magazines. Indeed. If it's the end of the world and we're the only 2 people left and there's no TV or any way to entertain, then we have enough Vogue magazines to last us until the final days. So
those aren't your wives; those are yours.
Well, stop
this
it,
might
Pat.
be a good time for me to say bye, fellas.
See you, Chris.
Be a good time.
Thanks, Chris. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys.
Thanks.
See you.
Chris Stewart, Courtesy of Craneworks and the Buyers Right hotline for all your insurance, financial, and HR needs. It's Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner.
Should be a tough one tonight over in Starkville. Bama is still an underdog, according to Vegas. So we'll talk more about what's on tap tonight in the SEC, including Auburn heading down to Louisiana facing LSU. We will talk to Sean Fox, our guy down in Louisiana. He'll give us a little preview of that a little bit later in the program. We welcome your text messages on the Courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. Eleven 24, Jocks 94.5. If you missed the interview with Chris Stewart previewing tonight's Alabama-Mississippi State game, feel free to download the Three Man Front podcast. Molly and Conrad do an outstanding job as they put up the highlights of Landrum Roberts each and every day.
As they should. I'm just kidding. I'm looking. Oh, by the way, this is a total side note, but we do that from time to time. So I saw the billboard. What am I remembering about the circus, basically Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus being done? Or was that just the animals? that they decided that they weren't going to feature anymore. I
Yeah,
can't
isn't it
remember.
like they don't have elephants and stuff like that anymore?
Yeah, I think it's more like a Circus Soleil type stuff now.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm just guessing. When my kids were that young, they still had the animals.
Yeah. Well, it's here at Legacy. Not trying to give them a free promo, but it's been a minute since I've been to a circus. I don't know.
Might be a good opportunity for you and Dorothy to go.
Yeah, just thinking about clean, wholesome fun with a bunch of kids that are running around. And
Okay. So they shut
Parents
it
are-
down from 2017 to 2023, and they brought it back last year.
okay.
Okay. Good for them.
So
Who's
you can
funding
go to
this
the circus,
venture?
Landrum.
Can you imagine? That would be so awesome. Just 1 week. Just 1 week traveling with the circus. Look how much fun they're having.
Yes, they are.
I guess we all have our own definitions of fun.
Yeah. All right, so we been talking a lot of basketball this morning. You got Bama and Mississippi State tonight, Auburn and LSU. Another big game, another couple big games to tell you about. First one's going to tip at 5 o'clock today. CBS Sports Network is going to be the network that you can watch the Samford Bulldogs take on Furman. That's a big road game for Samford. Bulldogs are in first place in the SoCon. They are 7-1. Furman is 4-4. So that is a 5 o'clock tip on the CBS Sports Network. Then at 7 o'clock tonight, starting at 6:30 over on our sister station, Jocks 2 100.5, you can hear David Crane, Steve Mitchell, myself on the UAB broadcast as the Blazers are in Tulsa taking on the Golden Hurricane. That is a 7 o'clock tip. Pregame shows at 6:30. The Blazers won by 32 on January the 4th here in Birmingham against Tulsa. But Tulsa's 3-4 in the American Athletic Conference. The Blazers 12-8 overall, 5-2 in the American. So, Landrum, this is a huge game for the Blazers to get that nasty taste out of their mouth of what took place in Memphis over the weekend.
Yeah, you're going to have to be able to defend better, and hopefully Tulsa doesn't shoot, 62 and 52 respectively from the floor. But, yeah, Budda Johnson, he was one of the few that actually had a good game, 17 in the first half, 21 overall. Yaxel Lindeborg having the double-double. But, yeah, just go and handle your business because coming up this weekend, you host Charlotte, and then on Monday, you get North Texas.
So, a quick turnaround. Yeah.
And we remember that game to open up conference play just after, New Year's Eve or New Year's Eve Day, where UAB went to Denton and North Texas, we know how good they are.
UAB had a big lead, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, North Texas came back, and they hit a late shot at buzzer to beat UAB.
Yeah. So you got two games at Bartow. Handle your business. Beat this Tulsa team. UAB an 8.5-point favorite on the road tonight, and the point total is 152.5.
She said 8.5?
Yeah.
Okay.
8.5.
All right.
For anyone interested.
Are you ready to elevate your driving experience? January is the perfect time to get behind the wheel of a brand new GMC from Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Enjoy exceptional offers this month as GMC's latest models and start 2025 in style. How about the 2025 GMC Sierra truck? Up to $12,000 off MSRP of the 2025 GMC Sierra four-wheel drive with the SLT Premium Plus package. How about the all-new 2025 Yukon? Whether it's the Yukon XL, the Denali package equipped with brand new technology and a 15-inch infotainment screen, this vehicle is absolutely second to none. You're not going to find a better price on a Yukon anywhere in the country. In Trussville, Courtesy GMC, that's where you need to go. And remember, Courtesy has the lowest pricing in the state of Alabama on all new GMCs in stock. They also have the 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty on all new GMCs. Happy to report, I see this every single week. You go to courtesybirmingham.com. They have had buyers from Fairhope drive all the way up to Trussville to get a brand new GMC. Had a couple from Tennessee over the weekend. They came down to Trussville, got themselves a brand new GMC Yukon. So take advantage of the outstanding deals. Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Visit their website at courtesybirmingham.com.
For those of you who have taken time to text the show, we're going to read your text. We'll do it next, Three-Man Front.
Welcome back. It's three-man front on this Wednesday. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. Next hour, we'll go down to the state of Louisiana. Talk a little LSU basketball. Talk some football, too. Been reading a lot of early preseason prognostications, and, man, they're feeling like Brian Kelly. Yep. Turn that thing around.
Setting him up for the old dung burger.
I guess so. Send him up for something.
Well, as we approach the lunch hour here, you need to be thinking about Big Whiskey's over there in Stadium Trace Village near the Hoover Met, because they're a great place for food of all varieties. Paige and I actually went and had dinner there one night last week. It was great. She had some, they were buffalo wings, but they were like a sweet and sour kind of like spicy sauce that was on them. They were fantastic. I had some buffalo chicken tenders. We got to try a bunch of their different chips and dips and a bunch of the different options they have there available for you. It was all wonderful. Of course, they have plenty of screens, so if you need somewhere tonight to watch some SEC hoops, Big Whiskey's is going to be a great place for you as well. So go visit them again, our friends at Big Whiskey's. Go check them out for lunch today at Stadium Trace Village over there by the Hoover Met.
Our three-man front Twitter poll question of the day at the number three-man front. It asks, which historical sports dynasty do you hate the most? New York Yankees, Alabama football, LA Lakers, and New England Patriots are your choices, and still winning. And it brings a smile to my face. The Yankees, 38.1% of our audience say it's the New York Yankees.
That makes me happy because, I mean, considering it's been 16 years since the Yankees last won a championship, I'm glad to know that the hatred is still alive and well. That means
it lingers.
We're relevant.
Cody says Yankees all damn day. You know what on them, Landrum? I'm texting in because I don't have the service to do Twitter at work. Well, we appreciate you texting in, Cody. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening.
Alan says Yankees have the same number of titles as the Braves in the last 20 years, so how are they a dynasty? I mean, heck, Red Sox are more of a dynasty at that time with 4 titles. Yeah, but nobody hates the Red Sox except for Yankees.
Well, I think we're talking about the 1990s Yankees into the early 2000s when they were a dynasty. This is not right now, right? The New England Patriots are clearly not a dynasty anymore, but they were. So it's not present day.
And I'm not going to forget the heartbreak they caused. It was very impressionable.
Well, for you as a Braves fan,
yes.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Don't be sorry.
I'm not. Are we going to go to the
I've tasted a championship here in the last few years.
You have. You absolutely have. They're playing in Atlanta this year, right? I think they're making a trip over here. We might have to go.
Yeah, because the Braves were there last year.
Mm-hmm.
Won 2 out of 3, if I recall.
I think you're right. Maybe we'll make a little day of it.
All right.
Do some shopping in Buckhead.
Yeah.
Go down to
Just casual.
have lunch at the Battery. Stay at the Battery. Y'all get a hotel there at the Battery.
Oh yeah, we can get one in the hotel that overlooks Truist.
See, if
We can
you
just
and
sit there in
Paige
our
would go
robes
in
and
with
watch
me and
the game.
Dorothy, then I would feel better about renting one of those. You can get one of those, Conrad, one of those suites, because I've investigated it. And I almost pulled the trigger.
At the hotel?
Yeah, you got fire pit. Yeah, you're overlooking the outfield, so you can actually watch the game there.
Yeah.
But we're going to go inside the game, of course.
Yeah.
But we'll tailgate there. But they have a fire pit, and you have butler service.
Mm.
Can we get joint rooms, where we have the doors so we can go and say hey whenever we want?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a
so.
prerequisite of Landrum if you're going to go over there with him.
Well, yeah, I mean, I figured if they didn't have that basic amenity that he wouldn't be interested, but I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah. It's family, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Family. The main reason for hating the Yankees is the same reason for hating Alabama football. They're fans.
Oh, I
Thank
thought
you,
he was
whoever
about to
texted
say
that.
me specifically.
So BayScore is saying that Conrad is just a pretty rotten human being since he's a Yankees fan and an Alabama
That's
fan.
what I'm gathering.
I've heard that for a long time. But just to set the record straight, I am not a Cowboys fan. I am not a Lakers fan. I am not a Chiefs fan or a Duke basketball fan.
But you're a Patrick Mahomes fan.
For the sake of arguments, yeah.
The most recent bet here on the show, if Florida State beats Alabama at Doak Campbell to open up the 25 season, Conrad has agreed to burn his Tua jersey on social media.
Now, but he's got 2 now, right? You've got a backup.
Not a Tua jersey, but another Alabama jersey.
No, it's
like a new Alabama one.
Oh, it's the long snapper.
It's the guy from
jersey,
Valdosta.
Right?
Valdosta
Wasn't it the long
State
snapper?
guy, right?
Who was it?
Who was it?
It's our starting safety, Bray Hubbard. Come on.
Bray Hubbard.
God.
I thought it was the long snapper.
Posey says if that does happen, that'll give Conrad time to order a burner from Damien's Chinese website.
No, to be honest, the one I have now is getting a little old, so I'll just burn that one and buy a new one. Maybe I'll get a Dolphins one. Maybe that's what I need to mix it up.
Did Paige get you the Tua jersey that you currently have?
Mm-hmm.
Did she?
Yep.
Going back to Kentucky, they knocked off Tennessee in Knoxville last night. Fat Joe texts in and says, don't forget, y'all, when Mark Pope was hired, Kentucky didn't have one player on the roster. Make it even more impressive of what he's doing. No, for sure.
It's great. And I mean, I think Pat brought it up at the beginning. It's, you think of the storied history of Kentucky basketball and the fact that they have already tied their program record for most top 15 wins in a season. And you still got, 8-9 games to go in conference play? It's pretty good.
Going back to Alabama, Florida State, Mark says he's already taken Florida State plus 8.5.
I'm not going to be in attendance, though.
I don't know. I thought FSU Dave was going to take you down there.
We'll see. We'll see.
If he offers and we buy the gas, will you go?
I'm not trying to commit to something this far out.
Oh, wow. Listen to him.
This one from one of our
I'll
listeners in the Montgomery area listening on Sports Radio 740, going back to Carson Beck and all the deals that he was able to have while at Georgia. One of them apparently was some smell good, some cologne. Was that right?
Yes, for Jalen Milroe, yeah.
Or for Jalen Milroe, it was cologne.
Yes, it was cologne from Milroe.
Now I remember what I was going to say about Carson Beck. When people tell me, this text comes in, when people tell me I smell nice and ask what scent I'm wearing, my response is soap. Good old soap, man. Bar soap, antibacterial.
Soap is good.
It'll dry you out this time of year, but just
Hey, by the way, I was just doing
Lotion
some
up.
looking.
don't
So,
say
that.
that.
the SEC football media days is in Atlanta the week of the All-Star game.
Yes, correct.
The Yankees are in Atlanta that weekend.
Oh,
So you guys can just make a whole week of it.
Landrum. Come on.
You stay all week long.
What date is this?
So we have the SEC football media days starting on the 14th of July.
All right.
Okay.
Right? Then you have the All-Star game on the 15th.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the football media days last through the 17th.
And then that
And
weekend.
then on Friday on the 18th, the Yankees are in Atlanta for a 3-game series.
I'm game. And you know what?
I'm down.
Because I know my wife's in. I don't know about you and Paige, but let's go do Six Flags too.
I haven't been to Six
I
Flags.
haven't been to
gonna
Six
get
Flags in
all this
forever.
in?
This is great. I'm so excited now. Let's do it.
How
Let's
are
go
you
to
going to
Six
get all
Flags.
this in?
I'm in.
I don't understand.
Well,
so
one of
Pat,
those
we're not going to
days-
be doing the show for about a week.
We'll skip out on one of those SEC media days.
Okay, so
yeah, whatever day DeBoer's talking, we'll just.
so I'm on
skip that
Ticketmaster
one.
right now looking for you guys some tickets.
Okay.
Looks like the cheapest single ticket. If you want some stuff lower, like lower level, mezzanine,
What's the cheapest available just in general? That's not standing room.
about $31.
Oh, okay. That's not bad. I mean, I think when I went to a game last year, we had decent seats. They're about 50, 60 a piece.
Yep, the cheapest, and that is like way up there.
I'm excited.
Now, if you want to sit down the left field line, $166.
Since your Cardinals are going to be playing in the International League, why don't you and Leanne join us?
I was about to say we'll get first base side tickets, and I'll heckle Goldschmidt for you if that's what you want, Pat.
Hey, I've got nothing but love for Goldschmidt.
Andrew, back to the poll question on the Yankees, says definitely the cheating Yankees. One word, steroids. I agree, Andrew.
Oh yeah, because the Yankees were the only team that had a player that
They
used
were.
steroids.
They started it. That and Spider Tack.
I think Garrett Cole brought that to the Yankees with him from that
Pittsburgh?
other organization. No, the other one with the
Adding to
trash
my
cans.
list of why to loathe the Yankees
Mhm.
is the fact that, and I brought it up to Pat in the break, and he totally agreed. You're a Hall of Fame broadcaster, John Sterling, and you give him a knockoff
47-inch
10-star
television.
Okay,
break after your party that you buy it for to host people.
that was bad.
That was terrible.
That was bad. That whole situation was bizarre, though.
Remember the clip of the foul ball?
Yes.
That was so
Oh, where
good.
it hit him in the eye or whatever.
Well, he was okay, so then you could
yes,
laugh.
he was okay. Yeah.
Yankees, says this one listener, that's the vote, but why is Kansas City not an option? The Chiefs.
Well, you only get 4 options on. I've sent a note to Elon to see if he can have that changed, but as of right now, you only got 4 options. So you can
he's on the Department of Government Efficiency,
he's
not
busy.
Twitter efficiency right
now.
now.
He's busy right now.
Jimmy says the Yankees can poop up a tree. I remember
Man,
the 90s.
so many people hate the Yankees.
Long live the Braves.
I'm glad to know that the hatred still burns bright.
The Chevron in Avondale sells jerseys and has a Miami Tua jersey.
Oh, really?
I think you need to stop off after work today.
Yeah, I'll go buy it. That's hilarious.
This listener says they voted for Bama. Hate them. Always will and have since 1972. David and Pelham. Thank you, David.
Yeah, something told me today was not going to be a great day for the teams I pull for in our poll question.
We're now getting write-ins. James says, I still hate Tennessee. They low down, dirty, and they some snitches.
They are that. They are snitches.
Mm-hmm.
BB, Landrum with the circus carnies eating cup of pizza. Maybe a gypsy will help you find your special purpose. I don't go into all that gypsies and witches and fortune
Did she
tellers.
say cup of pizza?
Witchcraft. I have no idea.
What is that?
Can you guys enlighten me? Cup of pizza?
I don't know, but I'll try it.
And keep the gypsies away from me. Oh, you into that?
No, I'm just
Sorcery?
made me think of the scene from Borat. Was that the car dealership?
After playing like soft serve chocolate ice cream emoji this year, Milrow needs some smell good sauce. Mac and Moundville. Thank you.
That was good. That's good.
And they're really great texts, and they're all over the place today. Keep them coming in. 205-834-9450.
More of your texts. We'll open up the phone lines as well. 1-800-239-WJOX. This is 3-Man Front on this Wednesday. Jocks 94.5. You know, I told you yesterday when I walked into Social Taco, Conrad was listening to Dua Lipa. This morning I come in the office and he's listening to Britney Spears.
See, but Pat knows the song. That's the takeaway from this.
It's Britney Spears. Circus.
Oh, circus.
Yeah, get it?
So the Cupo Pizza reference that BB threw out there on the text line was apparently from Steve Martin, The Jerk, the movie. I've seen it, but it's been a long time. I'll go back and revisit that. But yeah, Britney Spears. She was an answer to a trivia question. What Twibia? Everybody loves some good Twibia. It was what pop star burned her home gym down with candles? And it was Britney Spears.
That would have been an easy one to guess, I feel like. Just based on her recent track record, at least.
What pop star was form tackled by security when she tried to go and meet a young NBA player in Las Vegas?
Yeah, there are a number of trivia questions that she would be the answer to.
Yeah,
Not many of them great.
If you don't have anything to pray for today, pray for Brittany.
Yeah. Now's the right time to talk about the health and the safety of your trees in your yard, on your property, with a certified expert. Call Golston Tree Service today. That expert is a certified arborist at 205-337-4018, family owned and operated for over 35 years. No job is too big or small for Golston Tree Service. They can cut down your tree. They can haul off to the last stick. They can grind that stump out of your soil. They can do it all. They also offer 24-hour emergency storm work. So give them a call today, 205-337-4018. Their arborists can come to your house and give you a free assessment on any issues you believe you have with anything on your property. So call Golston today, 205-337-4018. Setting the stage for tonight's basketball, we've got Alabama and, of course, Mississippi State playing tonight. And then you've got Auburn and LSU. The other SEC game tips at 8 o'clock, the same time that Alabama and Mississippi State is, and that is Texas visiting number 23 Ole Miss. I go back to what Blake Lovell told us last Friday, Landrum, which is he believes that the second half of the season, Texas is the team that folks need to pay attention to because the way their schedule kind of lightens up a little bit. Still a tough SEC schedule, but kind of knocking out all the tough ones like Auburn at the beginning of the schedule. Texas seems to be getting some things righted with their basketball team right now.
Yeah, you go back to early in the season when Auburn had to go there game 2 and had a double-digit lead. I think they pushed it past 20 a couple of times, and Texas was a team that just would not go away. You know that they have talent. They got plenty of resources, and they play there in that beautiful building that you could hear a pin drop in. I just wonder how they're going to handle the environment of the pavilion because Ole Miss fans are certainly going to be up for this. And can they handle that relentless pressure, that almost rock fight physical style of play that Chris Beard wants to get you in? Texas doesn't strike me as that kind of team. They strike me more as a finesse, and it's not being detrimental. But, yeah, that should be a good game. I think Ole Miss, though, they probably get the win. I think that was a good pick by Brian.
Yeah, Brian likes Ole Miss tonight. That was part of his money line parlay tonight. If you did not hear that interview, you can hear it in its entirety if you download the 3-Man Front podcast. He likes Boise, Utah State, Ole Miss, and Stanford on a money line parlay tonight. Conrad, licking your chops there. You like that one?
I try to stay away from these kinds of games, Pat, based on just some of the horror stories that you tell me every couple of days, I feel
well,
like.
let me tell you.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Well, let me tell you something. Hofstra got me Saturday morning.
Oh, I don't know.
That one was a bad one.
I was about to say, you already talked to Brian, got to clear the air about your Miami debacle.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Most teams are better. Going back to Texas, most teams are better at home, but it's pretty drastic with Texas. Just reinforcing my point.
I do want to give Pat credit, though, because, Pat, you didn't take your victory lap about Kentucky.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have. That's correct.
Short-handed Kentucky.
Yes. I played the point total of Kentucky. I did it at halftime because Tennessee's only given up 58 points a game to their opposition.
You love a good halftime.
Got to pay attention to things.
Yeah.
Some good opportunities at halftime. Happened the other night in the Alabama LSU game. Happened the other night in the Auburn Tennessee game. Happened last night in the Kentucky Tennessee game. Kentucky was Point total of 77 and a half.
Oh.
And with 7.7 seconds left, Kentucky
Lucky
went to
son
the
of a
free throw
gun.
line with 76 points. They had a 76-73 lead. So when he hits the first one, it's a
What are you thinking when he hits the first one?
Well, first off, they were horrible down the stretch. I was just kicking myself. The last 2 minutes, they had an opportunity. They had left about 3 or 4 free throws off the board. So like this should have zoomed past the 78. So when it's 76-73 and Tennessee's got to foul them, they go to the free throw line. And I'm sitting there going, okay, got to hit him. He hits the first one, makes it a 4-point game. And I'm like, okay, just knowing my luck, he is going to miss it on purpose because there's no point. I mean, even if they foul him and they hit the 3-pointer, it's, you know what I'm saying?
There's nothing worse.
Yeah. And so I'm thinking, okay, so it's a 4-point game, 77 points. I need him to hit this free throw. And he was probably in his head thinking, I'm all about padding my own stats.
Yep.
Forget about the team.
And that's when you appreciate the selfishness.
Absolutely.
Well,
And he hits it. I do that, and then I turn the game off.
That is
I watch the final 7 seconds.
That's a gut-wrenching beat. Another one that I can remember that I had, and this was several years ago, it was in college basketball. You had an outlet pass at the end of the game. Needed 1 bucket. Needed 1 point to push, 2 points to tie. Outlet pass. Guy is by himself. 5 seconds to go. Thinking two-handed jam, lay it in,
Wait,
be
he pulls it
conservative.
out?
He dribbles it out.
I'm telling you.
And I will admit, because I'm not too, something I broke something.
Did you?
I did.
Oh, wow.
I did. I broke something.
Well, I felt
I wish bad things on that dude
That's
too.
bad.
and a lot of our audience feel this way.
This is
whether
several
it's-
years ago.
Whether it's football or basketball, like if you have an opportunity to play a game and that team ends up burning you, you're either going to fade them the rest of the season or you completely stay off of them.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Hofstra's on my my blank list because they got me Saturday morning. Had him on the money line. Hofstra was a 6.5-point favorite at home against Davidson. Davidson under 500. I was telling Conrad, I had it part of a 3-team parlay. The other 2 games, no problem. All I needed was
It's
Hofstra
always that. Yeah.
at home against a team under 500. And one of the kids for Davidson did his best imitation of that kid at North Dakota and what he did against Alabama. Where like it was one of those games that he would do fadeaways, throw it behind his back like George Gervin, whatever, and they would go in. They went to overtime, and Davidson beat them.
The game I was referencing was out of the Ohio Valley Conference. I will not say the team. By the way, over in Omaha, South Dakota tonight.
It is 12 noon here on a Wednesday. Jocks 94.5. Thanks for making us a part of your day. This is Three Man Front. Conrad, Molly, I'm Pat. Landrum Roberts with you until 2 o'clock. We'll take you up to the Paul Feinbaum Show. Later this hour, we'll go down to Louisiana. Get a little preview of tonight's Auburn game as they get ready to take on the LSU Bengal Tigers. You know, Janai Broome leads Auburn in scoring, 17.8 points per game, almost 11 rebounds per game. Also, Auburn has won 11 games in a row since that loss there at Cameron Indoor Stadium. In Auburn's past 3 road games, though, it defeated Georgia by 2 points, South Carolina by 3, and Texas by 5. LSU is number 12 in 2-point percentage defense this year. They're kind of stingy. They're number 18 in effective field goal percentage defense. So the defense has not been the problem for LSU. It's been finding a couple more scores. Auburn has won a single season program record 7 ranked games, an SEC record of 11 quad 1 games, and they're the unanimous number 1 in both polls for the first time in the program's history. So they will take all that on the road tonight against LSU, where the Bengal Tigers, they're 10-1 at home. Their only loss was to Vanderbilt. They're 12-7 overall, 1-6 in SEC play. Meanwhile, Alabama, number 4 in America, going up against number 14, Mississippi State. We talked to Chris Stewart, the voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide, last hour, gave us his thoughts on that game. Mark Sears takes an 18.1 average per game, 4.9 assists per game. Alabama leads the nation in scoring with almost 91 points per game. The Tide has scored 85 or more points in 5 straight games. What was the point total tonight?
Wait, did you say Alabama scored 85 plus?
In 5 straight road games.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, because they only scored 80 against LSU.
The point total tonight is 165.5.
Does it give you Alabama's point total on your board?
Yes. Well, it gives me first half total, and that's 78.5, Alabama.
Okay. So keep that in mind. Alabama has scored 85 plus in 5 straight road games. Meanwhile, State has held its opponents to less than 70 points in 60 of 89 games under Coach Jans. That's 68% of their games.
Really
they play
good.
really good defense. Mississippi State, they have 3 wins over AP top 25 foes before February for the first time in program history.
There's a lot of that around the SEC this year of
is.
teams that have top 25 wins at this point in the season. And you know, with Mississippi State too, man, they always are physical. Every single it's going to be a tough game.
Alabama has 6 wins over AP top 25 opponents, 1 win away from tying the program record set back in 2022 and 2023. And Coach Oates, he has 24 AP top 25 wins in his tenure at Alabama, which ranks second all-time in program's history behind our Friday guest each and every week, Coach Wimp Sanderson. Wimp's got 25. So if Nate Oates wins tonight,
They'll be tied.
He will be tied with Coach Sanderson.
2 different teams, but similar style of play with Kentucky and Alabama. And I was going back to Mississippi State, and I think it's their only home loss that they've had this season when Kentucky went in the hump and they won 95-90. But you want to take a guess how many 3-pointers Mississippi State jacked up in that game?
Against Kentucky?
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say 35.
41.
You're close. 40. They were 12 of 40.
Wow.
It's like Tennessee last night. Pretty similar.
The home win that they had over Ole Miss, they didn't take that many threes, not 40. They took a good bit of them, but they were able to knock down 9. They're going to jack them up. They were dreadful when they went to Auburn from outside the arc. They couldn't hit anything.
They were. So Michigan yesterday, this story came out. They have responded to the NCAA allegations related to the Connor Stalions-led advanced scouting and sign stealing scheme. In its response to the NCAA, the university refutes Landrum many of the alleged rules violations and accuses the NCAA of grossly overreaching and wildly overcharging the program without credible evidence that other staff members knew of Stalions' illegal in-person scouting system.
Well, they saw the documentary just like we all did.
In the 137-page document, Michigan makes clear that it will not enter into any type of negotiated resolution with the NCAA.
Let's play hardball.
Shocker.
The case is now bound for a hearing before the Division I Committee on Infractions. The Committee of Infractions is an independent administrative body charged with deciding infraction cases. The committee has authority to set and conduct the hearings as well as prescribe penalties. A hearing before the Committee on Infractions is likely to happen in the coming weeks. So 6 of the 11 violations are deemed to be level 1, and the NCAA asserts that Michigan, using air quotes, failed to monitor, end of air quotes, its football program, giving the severe nature and multi-year length of the Stallion scheme. The university and several of its coaches are considered repeat offenders, an allegation the school refutes in its response. So the headline, the NCAA, according to Michigan, is grossly overreaching, and they are wildly overcharging Michigan based on this investigation.
Outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan, I feel like everybody else is pulling for the NCAA in this case.
Yes.
One of the few times that you pull for the NCAA, because this is not NIL. This is not impermissible benefits. This is not, I bought him a cheeseburger. It was during a no contact period. We paid for lunch, gave him an Uber. Heaven forbid we put his parents up in a hotel room. Okay, whatever. But this is competitive.
This is premeditated. This
Yes.
is like absolutely, I am going to absolutely just wave it in your face and you're going to like it. They
At
don't
least
care.
they seem to be acknowledging that he did cheat, because essentially they said, what? Well, there's no evidence that other people cheated. So we're making baby steps here, right? Like they're starting to take accountability that something happened. They're just now acting like it was, this lone assassin working in the shadows.
Yeah, because that's the key, Conrad, because they say there is no credible evidence that other staff members knew of Stallions' illegal in-person scouting system. Also in this 137-page document that I have not had an opportunity to read, but based on the reporting by other individuals that have seen it and read it, they point out that Michigan is hell-bent on trying to find out who turned them in. The NCAA will not give them that information.
No.
Good.
No, it's like Crime Stoppers. If you choose to be anonymous,
Yeah. Exactly.
Get your Crime Stoppers t-shirt.
you don't get your reward, but maybe you do.
All right, let's take you back in time. When the head football coach of the Michigan Wolverines, when he was in the National Football League the first time with the San Francisco 49ers, this is what he had to say about cheating and lying.
You always want to be above approach, especially when you're good, because you don't want people to come back and say, oh, they're winning because they're cheating. We want to be above approach and everything, do everything by the rules. Because if you don't, if you cheat to win, then you've already lost.
All right, did you hear that? If you have to cheat, you've already lost. That is what Jim Harbaugh said when he was the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, and he said, at the beginning, essentially, especially if you're good when you're cheating, I think that was the thing that frustrated a lot of people about Michigan is, Michigan was a very good team last year, and we don't know how much the sign stealing aided them, but it's the fact that you already had a good team.
Yeah.
Like, did you feel like you
Was
had
it
to cheat to
necessary?
get over the hump when they were already one of the
Well, it was like the Astros. The Astros had a good team.
Yeah.
Like why'd they have to do that? All right, so we just played you some audio from his days in San Francisco. Let's take you to a more current time frame. Let's take you when he was wearing the maize and blue tie. He gave this little speech, this little diatribe. I don't know if this was to a quarterback club or whatever the case may be, but this was when Jim Harbaugh was the head coach of the University of Michigan. He brings Judge Judy into it.
Be honest. Tell the truth. If I want them to tell the truth, then I have to tell the truth all the time when you're in a leadership position. Judge Judy, I watch her. I got 90 episodes of Judge Judy TiVo'd on my TV, and that's what I watch. And one thing about her courtroom is if you lie in Judge Judy's courtroom, it's over.
Come on, NCAA, make a phone call.
Sir.
Get Judy on the phone.
It's got 90 episodes on his TiVo. I kind of dated him.
Judy.
there with TiVo.
Judge Judy was stern, but Judge Wapner, whew, no nonsense in that made-for-TV courtroom.
Okay, so the clips that we just played for you, they kind of got a new life of its own last night on social media. And the reason why is because a current Big Ten coach who wanted to get into a, let's just say, a tete-a-tete with Shane Beamer a couple weeks ago.
And Lane Kiffin before that.
Yeah, and Lane Kiffin before that.
We'll call it a Diego Pavia match.
Yeah. Our good old friend Brett Bielema, who's now in Champaign-Urbana. And listen, I've been to Champaign-Urbana. There's not a lot of things to do in the middle of the wintertime there. So I guess he's sitting on Twitter having some fun. Some very, very entertaining tweets last night at Jim Harbaugh and the whole Michigan situation. One of the tweets Brett Bielema sent out was the clip that we just played for you where it said, if you cheat, you win, you've already lost. Okay. So basically Brett Bielema quote tweeted that video and says, really? Why did you leave? ? Was looking forward to playing, but understand why you ran to the NFL. See you in the future and can't wait. #family, #ILL. And he didn't stop there, Conrad.
No.
As Brett Bielema went on a couple more tweets, quote tweeting more information out.
Yeah, he responded to the he brought up the Judge Judy clip as well. He likes the emojis, I guess is what we figured out last night, because a lot of the tweets are just, you can go look at his account on X and it's a lot of just emojis responding to stuff. And then I like how in all of them he also has I guess this is the Illinois hashtag now, the family with ILLI.
Yeah, why? Yeah.
Yeah, but no, and then he also was kind enough to repost on 3's article diving into some of the comments that Sharon Moore made about the allegations and maybe how he was just so angry at Connor Stallions last year that he deleted all of the messages between them because he was so mad at him that he deleted any evidence that they ever had conversations about the signs deal.
You know, what's so funny, and once again,
all over
it shows you how the NCAA is completely neutered and that they have zero power whatsoever. I will never forget, Alabama got in trouble because an NCAA investigator came to Gene Stallings' office and wanted to have a conversation with Gene Stallings, and Gene Stallings threw him out of his office, would not cooperate, just having a conversation. And the NCAA, they got all bowed up and, they came after Alabama with more barrels just because Gene Stallings would not have a conversation with the NCAA investigator. Meanwhile, you've got Michigan inviting Connor Stallions to events. Heck, he's probably got a national championship ring, right? I assume.
He definitely has one.
I mean, he goes on Netflix and he absolutely taunts the fact. I mean, he gives you the whole blueprint. You've got Portnoy from obviously Barstool just, waving in everybody's face about
no, he's clearly proud of it.
Done.
Like it feels like the Michigan people are proud of it. Like almost a ha-ha, we got away with it and got a title out of it.
And how many multiple meetings did Kevin Warren and the Big Ten have apparently off the record with other coaches and the accusers from the Big Ten that are going to remain nameless? I don't think it was one school, the whistleblower.
Well, I know Purdue was pretty unhappy. Michigan State. Remember, Michigan State had thought about not even playing the game with Michigan. And the reason why is because they thought that they was going to, put their players in harm's way. Because if Michigan knew their scheme or what they were going to run or knew the playbook, then that could have put their players in some type of harm. So Michigan State leading up that week of the game, there was question marks until I think it was Tony Petitti got on the phone and had a conversation with the folks at Michigan State. So Michigan State wasn't happy. You saw the clip, obviously, of the Rutgers game.
Yep, Schiano.
Schiano was going crazy at halftime. So, I mean, it was...
Well, this is one of the rare cases where you probably have a lot of schools in the Big Ten and around college football that you could not convince them that they weren't... We've talked to people off the record. Like, there's no way that they weren't stealing signs and they didn't know he was on the sideline or he was doing this. They're going to back the NCAA. So while the NCAA has been slow on some of these cases, like, do we really want to go there? Look at our history. Look at the legal fees. We're going to get sued. This is going to end up in federal court in front of a district judge. It's just more, let's not even bother with it. In this case, I feel like thumbing your nose at the NCAA, probably not a good idea. But if you're Michigan, what other choice you have? Everybody thinks you're guilty anyways.
Yeah, I think more than anything, they're probably trying to protect Sharon Moore.
Probably.
Because once that information comes out of how much he knew and when he knew it, and since he's now the head football coach and he was on that staff, that maybe it come back as a boomerang and hit him. But as we all know, I mean, when you take stuff away, whether it's vacation of wins or championships, whatever the case may be, it doesn't take away from the fact that Michigan beat Alabama in the Rose Bowl, and then they beat Washington for the national championship. And it goes back to what Conrad said. It was a very good football team. I just don't understand why they needed to go to the lengths that they went to and then protect the people that they protected. So we'll see if the NCAA has any. If they lose this and they cave to Michigan,
you might as well just close the doors.
I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I think we all pretty much understand that the NCAA doesn't mean anything now anyway. But if you don't have the goods,
this can be your swan song, NCAA. Go out on a high note.
Yeah, go with those barrels blaring, man. But it's something else for them to do a 137-page document and basically tell the NCAA to get screwed and that you're grossly overreaching and wildly overcharging our university.
Pat, one of our younger listeners, just while we're still on the subject, has texted in to the text line 205-834-9450. Pat, I was young at the time. I was too, by the way, listener. But could you please go into detail about how close Bama really was to getting the death penalty?
They were very
close.
They were extremely close. Matter of fact, it's the way things were done back then. It had to do with there was multiple investigations. There was the charge of lack of institutional control, which that is usually the kiss of death. Back in the old days, I mean, that's what did in SMU. The lack of institutional control, they shut the doors. And Alabama had so many different investigations. And back then, the way they would do it is they would have a conference call. Like there wasn't a website back then where you could go and tune in and watch the reading of the findings or whatever. And I remember us tuning in and recording the NCAA call. And I believe it was back then the person in charge of the infractions committee was, I think it was Jim Don Phillips. He was from Clemson, if I'm not mistaken. And he came on the conference call and basically Bama skated by and did not get the death penalty, but he did have the famous quote of that Alabama was staring squarely into the barrels of a gun in regards to sanctions and shutting the program down. It was that close, according to the infractions committee.
And what year was this? I was in the 90s, right?
Yeah, they all run together.
I remember in high school, and this is how I remember.
It was late 90s, right?
Maybe 97, 96. And the way that I remember, we had a teacher and a coach, Mike Clements, who was on that Alabama national championship team, the 78 AP national championship, and was a part of the goal line stand. And I can remember him walking through the media center, and we had gotten word that the ruling had just come down, and he thought it was way over the top. He was not happy.
Actually, it was back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
It was 2002, and it had to do around the Albert Means case. And actually, it was Tom Yeager. He was the chairman of the infractions committee, and he gave they were definitely in danger of the death penalty, and he basically saying that they were staring down the barrel of a gun in regards to having the program shut down. And that had to do with the Albert Means case and other things involved.
What was the other instance that you had with Alabama? Was that would have been the Gene Jelks?
Well, you had the Antonio Langham and the Gene Jelks case was combined together.
Okay.
And then you had the Albert Means situation.
I'm thinking about the Langham and Jelks.
Yes. And we were in the center of the Antonio Langham situation because the person that had acquired the documentation that Antonio Langham was going to be suspended for the SEC championship game was brought to us at the radio station.
Yeah, so Alabama, that one would have been, I'm just going back to news reports, 1995?
Yes.
Does that sound right? Okay. That makes more sense for the timeline.
Yeah, because, what had happened was that Antonio Langham was ruled ineligible, and he did not play in the 1993 SEC championship game against Florida at Legion Field because of the supposed contract that he signed on the back of a napkin in New Orleans after the national championship game in 1992. Then all of a sudden that was lumped into the accusations of Gene Jelks, which happened back in the late 80s, early 90s. So that was all lumped into that particular case. But the one, so they were already on probation for that stuff. And then when the Albert Means case came around in the early 2000s, they were still in the window to get absolutely hammered. And that's what Tom Yeager said. Said they were squarely looking in the barrel of a gun in regards to being shut down. And the irony would have been the sports information director at Southern Methodist University when they got shot down was Larry White. When this was going on in Alabama, the SID at the University of Alabama was Larry White. Larry White was an outstanding SID, just a great guy. And so glad that that did not follow him to Tuscaloosa, but it almost did. But that was an everyday type of situation that we dealt with on the air.
Yeah, it was tragic. Going back to the Albert Means, someone making reference to the main witness.
Logan Young.
Yeah.
Logan Young passed away in his home there in Memphis.
Mm-hmm.
That was part of a documentary that was done about a year ago in regards to some people. You know, there were questions about the death of Logan Young. Was it natural causes? Was there something else involved?
They said, do remember seeing one of the investigators that showed up at the scene said it was one of the most, it was pretty gruesome.
I believe it was a head injury. I believe stairs were involved.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what we were doing every day on the radio. NCAA investigations, and now it's just common occurrence. People break the rules, and
he couldn't make that
trouble.
reference these days, though. Staring down the barrel of a loaded gun.
No, that was probably
that would be a whole nother story.
Yeah, just a little bit different than 23 years ago. It's crazy. It's been that long.
Man. Now you know the rest of the story.
There you go.
Three-man front. We continue on Jocks 94.5.
Nothing like a little Eagles as we come back on this Wednesday, three-man front. The Courtesy GMC text line is open at 205-834-9450.
You have rekindled, well, I guess collectively, we have rekindled some old memories of the NCAA pertaining to Michigan now and in Alabama back in the day. Text line 205-834-9450. And the first one right out of the gate, who was the Bama attorney you guys would have on Paul's show pursuing the NCAA?
That would be
Informer.
Tommy Gallion.
Good old Tommy Gallion.
Tommy Gallion is the one that single-handedly stopped Philip Fulmer. He was scared to come to SEC Media Days at the Winfrey Hotel, and he did it in an old speaker box, literally, when he gave his little speech at the Media Days. I know you guys don't remember Charlie's Angels, but Charlie always appeared on the show.
Cameron Diaz?
See, I was about to say, I remember the remake.
I knew that was the one you guys were thinking about. I know the old one.
Yeah, the TV show where Charlie's voice would come through the box. That was Philip Fulmer at SEC Media Days.
Tommy Gallion, good people, man. He was friends with my dad. Got to meet him.
Yep.
If you're a Tennessee fan, you probably don't feel that
But
way.
he single-handedly,
he was really good at what he did.
Yeah, he scared Philip Fulmer to death. And kept
Just like
him,
you.
Yeah.
No, Philip Fulmer not afraid of me.
He called you an ugly name.
He did. It scarred me. Every time I go to Krispy Kreme, I think of Philip Fulmer.
What do you think his favorite Krispy Kreme was? You like cream filled?
All of them.
All of them. Oh, this one rolling in from the state of Florida. Thanks for listening on the app. Fat Phil was the problem. He definitely screwed over Jeremy Pruitt later when he was the AD at Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty consistent throughout his career because Johnny Majors had a heart attack. And when he was on the gurney in the operating room being worked on for his open heart surgery, Philip Fulmer was taking over as the head coach of Tennessee. And then you never saw Johnny Majors again at Tennessee. And then years later, he did what he did to Jeremy Pruitt. Pretty disgusting, to be honest with you. But he got his golden parachute. You know, he got out of there, and I'm sure one day he hopes to get his name on the stadium. Good luck, Phil.
I just love when we get Pat wound up with the Fulmer stuff. It's always good.
I mean, he was a piece.
Wasn't it?
I mean, there's just no other thing to say. I mean,
Wasn't it his daughter that would join him on the sideline when after the game, she'd walk out with him to shake the hands?
I don't know. May have been.
This text reads, staring down the barrel of a gun is no fun. Trust me. It's like looking down a deep black hole. Thank God this officer didn't have an itchy trigger finger.
So in an interview after that, Tom Yeager was asked why he said that. And he said, I was trying to deliver a message to all the good fans that you're the one sitting next to these guys in stadiums, cocktail parties. If you don't self-police, talking about the rogue boosters, if there is not enough self-interest to knock out these renegade guys, the university has no chance. That's what he said during the press conference detailing how close Alabama came to the death penalty. Now, of course, now those so-called rogue boosters are raising as much money as possible to pay your quarterback $9 million.
Mm-hmm.
Pat, someone says, I'm pretty sure Phil didn't have the dulcet tones of John Forsythe.
That is correct. He did not. John Forsythe was outstanding.
That was the guy that y'all would bring in, right?
Who?
Wait. Whoa.
He's not. John Forsythe was the actor in Charlie's Angels.
No. Who was the attorney that you guys would bring in?
Tommy Gallion.
I know, but there was another one that you would bring in on occasion.
Philip Shanks.
Okay, and then I'm thinking about somebody else.
We had a lot of attorneys.
All right, who's the other attorney?
John Falconberry.
Falconberry. That's
Yes.
the one I was thinking about.
Yes, John Falconberry was another attorney that was friends with us.
Posey says, hello, angels. I just did that. Drake, Conrad, serious guys, if Bama loses to Florida State, DeBoer's going to be on the hot seat. And Conrad's going to burn his jersey. His Tua jersey.
Mm-hmm. It's symbolizing the hot seat. That's why we're doing the fire.
All right, coming up next on Three Man Front, let's go to Louisiana. Let's talk to Sean Fox. We'll get a preview of tonight's Auburn game against LSU. Talk a little LSU football as well. That's next on Three Man Front. It is 12:34, Jocks 94.5. This is Three-Man Front. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. We'll take you up to the Paul Feinbaum Show, one of our favorite guests that we have on periodically here on Three-Man Front. Do his show. I know Landrum has been on Sean's show as well. Sean Fox joins us from 97.7 down in Ruston, Louisiana. And Sean, I hope you're well. I was on your show a couple weeks ago, and New Orleans had 10.5 inches of snow, and you got none. A little disappointed. I was going to come on and hopefully talk snow, but instead we talked basketball.
No, we got all the cold weather with none of the fun. It was like the damnedest thing. New Orleans has it was literally the most snow New Orleans has ever gotten ever. 10 inches. I never thought I'd turn on Facebook or social media and see Gulf Shores, Destin, Pensacola getting snow, and heck, I mean, usually when things like that happen in our states, which doesn't happen often, we get it in North Louisiana, we get it in Birmingham, but no. It was the Gulf Coast that got all the fun this time. Look, all that's great for a day or two, but we are not built in the South to deal with stuff like that very long.
How are things in Fun Row with our buddy Bryant Vincent and ULM? We know that they were one win shy of
that
getting,
whole thing.
Yeah, but I know that the transfer portal, Ahmad Hardy, talented running back, he's going to Missouri. You had other players from that roster that got plucked, like a lot of other programs. If you were not in the Power Four, heck, for the Power Four for that matter, what does that look like as far as Bryant Vincent continuing to rebuild and what that roster looks like right now?
Well, it does look different, as you mentioned. At this level, if you have some success and you have a player, the ability of Ahmad Hardy, he's probably not going to stay long. And look, he parlayed what he did in Monroe for 1 year to making a good bit of money to go to Missouri. I think he's that good where I think he will come in next year and be one of the better backs inside the SEC. But what Bryant Vincent did do was, yes, it was a very disappointing season. I mean, it depends on how you look at it. You were 5-1 at one point, which Vegas had them at 1.5 wins. So they exceeded every expectation, but you go 5-1 and you don't go to a bowl game. It is disappointing, but they have continued. And I think this is Bryant Vincent is that kind of guy. He's been able to keep everybody upbeat. They've been able to maintain momentum. And I think he's taken a very realistic approach on where we are in the state of college athletics, where, look, if we get a guy like that, we being the mid-majors, he's going to go and he's probably going to leave. But he's using that as a sales pitch. And for example, they brought in a running back, his name escapes me, but out of Richmond last year. Richmond's got a nice football program at the FCS level who had 1,300 yards rushing. That's one thing. I never would have thought I would have turned on one of these All-American Bowls, and I know it's changed through the years, but you see a ULM hat and this running back Deshaun Ford, who, depending on what site you look at, 4-star or 3-star, had offers from LSU, Alabama, among some other power programs, and picks ULM. I never would have thought I'd see the day where I turn on national television and a player at an All-American game pick ULM, and his sales pitch was, come here and be the next Ahmad Hardy. So, yes, that was a big loss, but they've been able to replenish the running back room. In fact, not just the running back room, but the coaching staff of familiar name to y'all, Jermaine McBride just got one of the best backs in UAB history, was just named this past week running back coach at ULM. So those UAB connections continue.
That's exactly right. The infusion, the excitement, and I know that supporters, they can see the future under Bryant Vincent, but as far as financial support towards the collective, I don't know what that looks like. In the fan base, I'm sure you have some ULM diehards that love their Warhawks, but is a lot of the fan base, is it made up demographically of folks that, if ULM, if they're in town, but if LSU's got a big game, they're going to Baton Rouge. How does that work down there?
The best way to, you pretty much nailed it. The best way I could put it is this Ouachita Parish, where Monroe is. Yes, you guys know we have parishes in Louisiana. At one time was the second biggest alumni base for LSU in the state of Louisiana outside of Baton Rouge. This is a LSU stronghold up here. It's funny, even though people, you'd be amazed the amount of Saints and LSU season ticket holders we have up here in my listening area. And look, it's one of those things where even people who went to ULM, they're like, okay, well, we are business owners in the community, so we'll give 1,000, we'll give a couple thousand to ULM, but they've got LSU season tickets and they're given to the Tiger Athletic Foundation. LSU is the 800-pound gorilla for almost every other program in the state of Louisiana. And I think that's why, for the most part, when ULM can avoid kicking off when LSU does, they do. And I think that's probably the smart way to go. You're just never going to change that.
Okay, and I know that Pat is going to take this a different direction. I have to ask you, Tim McGraw, does he give to the program? And what about Willie Robertson, the whole Duck Dynasty folks?
I don't think Tim McGraw does. He may have.
Very disappointing.
I don't think he does. In fact, I'm fairly certain he doesn't. And Willie Robertson, at one time, if you guys remember this was years ago, Duck Commander sponsored those camouflage jerseys that ULM wore one time. I've seen them at football games. How much they give and how often they do it, I'm going to be honest, guys, I don't think it's much. I don't think there is that big, die-hard ULM person who's giving them millions of dollars. And that's the difference, really, just to get kind of granular in our listening area. There are 3 schools within 30 miles of each other: Grambling, Louisiana Tech, and ULM. And Louisiana Tech has an advantage that ULM doesn't have, but they might not have a lot of people, but they've got 5 people who give millions of dollars every single year. And Carl Malone, and Carl Malone's not in that number, but he gives back. Terry Bradshaw gives back. Brooks and Dunn, Kix Brooks gives back. Trace Atkins gives back. And that's the difference really between those 2 schools. Tech has those guys that ULM doesn't have.
Sean Fox joins us from Sports Talk 97.7 down in Ruston, Louisiana. All right, tonight, the Janai Broom and the Auburn Tigers, the number 1 team in college basketball, makes their way to Baton Rouge, Louisiana to take on LSU. For basketball fans in the state of Alabama, they got to see LSU up close and personal Saturday night, and they gave Alabama everything that they wanted in Coleman Coliseum. Talk to us about this LSU basketball program, where it currently stands. Granted, it's in the bottom of not the very bottom of the cellar of the SEC, but they're pretty close. What's going on with that program, and can they give the coach long enough to maybe get them back into respectable territory?
Well, I want to go back to Saturday. That is the first time since Will Wade left that LSU and Alabama has even been competitive. Whether it's in Baton Rouge or in Tuscaloosa, Alabama has absolutely destroyed LSU the last 4 years. So I actually took that as a positive that LSU took that game and made it competitive deep into the second half. Look, Matt McMahon inherited a very tough situation. One, Will Wade, even though he went down and got fired the way that he did, he is still to this day beloved. And it doesn't make it any easier for Matt McMahon that he's in state, he being Will Wade, and doing very, very well at McNeese State. They are one of the best mid-majors in the country. I think he's 24-1 in a year and a half at McNeese State inside the Southland Conference. So he's still around, which obviously makes it a little more difficult. But he inherited a program that had 0 scholarships. Literally, LSU had one of the top recruiting classes in the country and a bunch of returning players. If Will Wade would have come back, I think it would have been a top 15 team that season. Nobody was left. Everybody's gone. And they gave Matt McMahon a 7-year contract because they knew it was going to take some time. I think in year 1, they overachieved. I think in year 2, they made the next step. I thought this year LSU I didn't think they would compete in the SEC for the SEC title, but I did think they would be able to get to the upper half, maybe win 9 or 10 SEC games, and make it to the NCAA tournament. I thought they would be able to do that. But 2 things happened. One, the league is a hell of a lot better than I think anybody thought. Who thought SEC basketball conference now? But they're 2 of their best returning players, Tyrell Ward and Jalen Reed. Both have missed most of the season. Ward is taking what is essentially a mental health redshirt year. He was a double-digit scorer. He was arguably LSU's best player down the stretch of last season. And then Jalen Reed, who was expected to be the best player on the team this year, about 15 games in, he suffers an injury. He's out for the year. So that was a big blow. Even without those 2 guys, if you're in any other league, I think you might still be competing for the NCAA tournament. I think this league is just that deep. They're competing hard. They do have some nice pieces. They're just not deep.
You think they keep it within the number 12.5 tonight?
Look, it's funny you mention that. LSU has only beaten the number one team in the country in the regular season twice. In fact, last time it happened was 2003, Arizona. Damon Stoudemire, Andre Iguodala, Lute Olson, LSU won that game. It's at home, and the two times that LSU have done it, it's been in the PMAC. It's been 20-plus years. They beat Kentucky in 1978. So it was 1978, 2002, maybe 2005. It's been 20-plus years, plus LSU when they've done it. It's at home. And then you look at Auburn. I think they've got the best home court advantage in college basketball right now. I mean, they are almost unbeatable there. But they have played teams tougher, or teams have played them tougher when they've got Auburn in their venue. I don't think LSU wins, but I do think they can cover tonight.
All right, before we let you go, I want to ask you about the football program because I'm already seeing some early top 25 and early college football playoff prognostications. And yesterday, ESPN came out with theirs, and they're predicting that LSU will make the college football playoff. If he goes 9-4 and he does it, or 9-4, that includes a bowl game, obviously, but he does not make the college football playoff. Where do things stand with Brian Kelly?
Yeah. You guys have had me on a bunch. I've been a Brian Kelly defender. This has been the first time where I was a little disappointed in Brian Kelly. I think the expectation should be making it to the college football playoff. If you got Garrett Nussmeier coming back, you've had arguably the top team or transfer team in the portal. I think this is the most loaded, deepest roster that he's had. I hate that they're going to open on the road with another big-time opponent in Clemson, who I think is going to be very, very good this year. But the expectation should be to make it to the playoffs. If he doesn't make it, goes 9-4 again, I think the seat justifiably even though 9 wins isn't bad, should be hot. Whether or not he gets fired, I don't know, but I do think it gets amplified a lot if they don't make it, because it feels like everything's been building towards what they've been able to do this offseason. Especially getting Nussmeier back.
$61 million, the buyout. I think right now, as it stands, that's a ton of money, but somehow people find it.
But patience is waning. I mean, look, I don't get guys. Look, LSU. They're very, very talented. Like every year, everybody thinks LSU should be in the mix. Historically, they're not Alabama. They're not a team in the mix every single year. It's every 4 or 5 years. That's been the thing. But tell that to the hardcore LSU fan. They think they should be like Georgia. They should be like Alabama. Like they feel like they should be in it every single year. I don't believe that, but I do think we are getting on that every 4 or 5 year time with Brian Kelly. So I do think they should be a playoff team this season.
He's our friend Sean Fox from down in the boot, previewing not only Auburn and LSU tonight, but college football. It's just right around the corner, always, right?
And guys, thank you for not asking me about the Saints coaching search. That's a whole nother.
Kellen Moore, he's going to win a lot of games there.
Who dat?
Oh boy! Hey, have a great show this Saturday. Are you doing double dip today, or is it just one show today for you?
No, well, tomorrow I've got the show, and then I turn around and do ESPN Plus tomorrow night. So busy time.
You're a busy man.
Money don't sleep, and neither do I.
There you go. All right, talk to you soon, Sean. Take care.
You got it.
Appreciate it. That is Sean Fox joining us on the Buyers Right Hotline for all your insurance, financial, and HR needs. It's Buyers Right Insurance, a Higginbotham partner.
We'll continue the Wednesday edition of Three Man Front. Lots to get into. College football news, little college basketball news as well. Three Man Front and Jocks, 94.5.
Always appreciate a good conversation there with Sean Fox, 97.7 down in the boot, Ruston, Louisiana. You know, there's a lot of roofing companies out there, and I've been telling you for some time now that you need to call Travis Lloyd and the outstanding team there at Abide Roofing, 205-922-7134. He put a new roof on my home a couple of years ago. I had issues leading up to a full roof replacement, and he was able to get on my roof, take a look at the situation, met with my insurance company, was able to get everything approved for me to get that new roof on my home. He can do that for you in case you need a full roof replacement or you just need an easy fix. You got some loose shingles and some other issues around on your roof. He can take care of that as well. The number is 205-922-7134. They use the best products, stellar communication throughout the whole process. They're licensed, bonded, insured, and just a true pro in the industry. So call them today, 205-922-7134. The website is easy to remember. That's abideroof.com. That's ABIDE roof.com.
A lot of college basketball talk. You got Alabama on the road taking on a Mississippi State team. Last check, Mississippi State, a slight favorite. In fact, 1 point at home there at the Hump. Auburn, they've got the early game. They take on LSU in Baton Rouge. Last check, Auburn was a 12.5-point favorite. Sean Fox along to talk about that one. And also Chris Stewart, voice of the Crimson Tide, to talk about Alabama, Mississippi State, and a Mississippi State team. And he said that this is one of those games you kind of circled, and you knew prior to the start of the season it was going to be tough. Chris Jans, he's done a remarkable job there in Starkville and what he's doing and the way that Mississippi State plays at home. So tonight it'll be interesting to see, especially with the storyline of Mark Sears. And how does he bounce back? Is he the leader that Alabama team is going to count on if they're going to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament?
Well, that's been the big story since Saturday night when he did not play in the second half. He went 0 for 5 in the first half, and obviously head coach of any team wanted to kind of shake things up a little bit, and Mark Sears did not play in the second half. This is what Coach Nate Oates said yesterday about Mark Sears.
There was messages sent and everything we did. It wasn't just Mark. It was Mark and Cliff, and for various reasons, Cliff got the opportunity to then come in and play. But I think the message sent, and it's the message we try to send into all of our decisions, is there's nobody above the program, including the head coach. I mean, like if we build this thing the right way and you build the foundation that you're supposed to, and for whatever reason it is, my first year here, I had to go to my grandfather's funeral. If I miss a day, I miss a game. I mean, like I said, whatever it was, I think Coach Saban maybe had to miss one back in COVID. He built such a strong program that they're able to perform without any one particular person there. So it's not just a point about Sears or Cliff or anybody. It's anybody in the program. The program is bigger than any one person, including the head coach. So let's build such a strong program, such a strong culture by everybody in it that we don't rely on just one person all the time. But we certainly need Sears, certainly need Cliff. We need everybody to be the best we can possibly be, and our program knows it, our team knows it, and getting the best version of Mark Sears is what's best for this team, for this program, and that's what we plan on getting moving forward.
That was Nate Oates about the Mark Sears situation. I am guessing that Mark Sears, probably from an NIL perspective, is the highest paid basketball player on that team. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Would Nelson be 2, or would it be Amori?
Yeah, it'd be him or Cliff.
Because we heard rumors about how much North Carolina was willing to go on Amori, and
I was about to say, I feel like my understanding, though, is that it was under 7 figures for him to come to Alabama, or maybe right at that number.
We made a wise choice not going to North Carolina. Woo!
You hear?
You did, but
they lost to Pitt last night.
Did you hear what the Pitt fans were chanting during the game? We want Bama.
By the way, LSU football, it's being reported that Alex Atkins, remember him? Former offensive coordinator, Florida State.
Yeah.
He's being considered for a role on Brian Kelly's offensive staff, potentially run game coordinator. Hour number 4, 3-man front. We continue on Jocks 94.5. 1 o'clock here on Three Man Front, the Wednesday edition. Landrum, Conrad, Molly, Pat, glad you're with us. If you're listening on Jocks 94.5 terrestrially or on the Jocks 94.5 app, you can download it free and easy. Up in North Alabama, the city of Huntsville and the Huntsville area there on the UMP, and then down in Montgomery, our capital city, on Sports Radio 740. Also, Jocks TV on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out, you simply go to YouTube and search Jocks 945 TV, and it will pull up the show, not only our show, Mac and Cube, Morning Jocks, and different parts of our regular programming here at Jocks 94.5. We always appreciate all of your support. I'll tell you a company that would appreciate your support here in the great state of Alabama, Second Generation Masonry. Our friends at Second Generation Masonry, that's a team for beautifying any area. Spring's going to be here before you know it, and their expert team can craft durable brick, concrete, elegant stone that's going to elevate any space. Fire pits, landscape steps, garden wall stone, patios, and walkways to custom driveways. These are your folks, entertaining folks in the warmer months, spending time outside with your family. That's something we love here in the Deep South, and there's nothing like some good old-fashioned curb appeal. You can get it with Second Generation Masonry. They'll work with not only residential contractors, but also commercial contractors as well. Check them out. Some of their completed projects, secondgenerationmasonry.com, secondgenerationmasonry.com. Get the free quote today. And as always, tell them Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you.
So last hour, we were telling you about Brett Bielema, the kind of fun he was having on social media last night, taking shots at Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan football program. Well, Brett Bielema is down in Mobile, Alabama, as we speak at the Senior Bowl. And some of the guys there were asking him to comment about what he was doing last night on Twitter or X. And he says that he is going to let his comments on Twitter and X stand for what he wrote. He's not retracting anything he did.
Not a surprise.
He's not apologizing. Says he's going to let his Twitter X comments stand when he was asked about the Michigan Harbaugh matter.
I mean, it was it last week we were talking about the Beamer stuff, or 2 weeks ago? And, we were kind of making the comment that he was on a bit of a heater here in terms of social media and not mincing words. And he's having quite the offseason so far. Illinois is going to be in the playoffs.
Can we read the tweet again?
Which one?
Just the one that takes the most shots at Jim Harbaugh.
Yes, let me track it down real quick.
Well, one of them was, if you cheat, you win, you've already lost. That was the video that he quote tweeted, and he says, really? Why did you leave? Was looking forward to playing, but understand why you ran to the NFL. See you in the future and can't wait. #family, #ILL.
Oh, and then on the Tell the Truth Always clip of Jim Harbaugh from several years ago, if you lie, it's over. That's what the quote was from Jim Harbaugh. And so a quote tweet from Brett Bielema with laughing, crying emoji, football, laughing, crying emoji.
Yeah, big emoji guy last night. I just like to imagine, maybe he flew down there this morning, but I'm imagining him just in a hotel in Mobile last night.
Got bored.
Nothing to do, just scrolling on Twitter. Oh, all right, I'll stir something up.
Had a couple of cocktails at the bar.
Well, I was going to say he went to the Golden Corral buffet and then came back to the hotel and what?
Was that worse than the Krispy Kreme comment earlier?
Nah. You might be right. I don't know. I feel like we would have gotten maybe.
They hate to see Brett Bielema walking into a Golden Corral. They're like, God, the one customer we're going to lose money.
I mean, any buffet.
Can you believe
any buffet?
Maybe he's watching his weight.
Maybe so.
I know we are.
Maybe so.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost 5 pounds this month.
Have you?
I have. It's amazing what not drinking beer does for you.
Yeah.
It actually has some positive effects on you.
I actually thought it was the fact that, you just stopped eating because Alabama had such a bad football season.
Yeah, we thought this was more of you fasting and
until Alabama wins another national championship.
Yeah.
Might be a few years of a fast. Don't know if I can do that.
So you remember last week? I think it was last week because you brought up a great idea. we were talking about SMU sent out a big graphic of who their first game of the season was. Do you remember that?
Uh-huh. And it was, see if I remember.
See if you get the name right.
East Texas A&M.
You are
University.
absolutely correct. Very well. Your short-term memory has not left you yet.
Mm-mm.
East Texas A&M University.
Juggernaut.
Scheduled to play.
Formerly Commerce.
Southern Methodist University.
I like it when you say it that way.
Conrad, I want you to go to fbsschedules.com.
I like how you can hear it.
I love the sound effect. Yeah. Okay.
It's like the reporter at the press conference.
Oh, it's telling me I have a virus now.
Really?
He's got fat fingers. Keeps messing up the URLs.
Were you vaccinated?
Had too many S's.
Oh.
Yes. Okay, what am I looking for here?
Okay, I want you to look up East Texas A&M University. Formerly Texas A&M Commerce.
Commerce.
Yes, they changed their name. They're the Lions, by the way. Their first game of the season.
Isn't there a Texas A&M Kingsville too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think there's a University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. Yeah, it's a mouthful doing a scoreboard show in basketball season.
That's right. There is.
Yes.
Because UAB's got a women's basketball player that transferred
from the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley.
I want to say it was Sarah Bershears.
All right. Did you find it?
I don't see. It doesn't look like they have. Do they have the 2025? Okay, yes.
Okay.
They have 4 games. They don't have their whole schedule.
Okay. All right. So week 1, what does it have listed?
You have SMU at SMU.
Okay. And what is week 2 for East Texas A&M University?
Well, they're going to be going on the road again, Pat, except instead of Dallas, they're going to be taking a trip down to the state of Florida, where they are going to rendezvous with the Florida State Seminoles.
I saw that, and I was just unaware that. So their first 2 games of the regular season is SMU in Texas, obviously Fort Worth, Arlington, wherever SMU is. And then they're going to Tallahassee in week 2 after Alabama is in Tallahassee.
That might be a trap game for them between SMU and Tennessee Tech. You got to watch out for FSU.
FSU's going to be riding high after their win.
So East Texas A&M University, they're going to get $450,000 to play FSU Dave's football team.
You save money on hotels, you just bus up that day.
I would say bus. The reason why is because the East Texas A&M University, they're an FCS school. They play in the Southland Conference. Their budget is for their whole athletic department. What do you think it is? The whole entire athletic department, all their sports.
Ooh,
at East Texas A&M?
Mm-hmm.
$12 million?
What did you tell me? What was Ohio State like 2 years ago? 270.
Their operating cost. It was like 290
million
or something.
290 million.
Okay, I want to say it's 10.3 million.
10.3 million.
7
million. Take a guess, Molly. Athletic department budget for East Texas A&M University.
5 million.
10 million. Very well done, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, you could field a pretty competitive football team for $10 million.
That's the athletic department.
No, I know. Well, no.
That's
get rid of the other stuff.
Everything. So they get 450. I did not find what they were making for the SMU game.
Coach, when you're ordering your practice jerseys, make sure that they're a little bit higher quality because we don't have it in.
We might be watching.
We don't have it in the budget for game jerseys.
We also might be watching them 3 times this year because SMU, Florida State. They also looks like they played at Sacramento State last year. We're gonna have to watch that game.
If it's part of the system, though, you telling me with the amount of money that Texas A&M has in their athletics department, they don't.
Yeah, you don't funnel a little bit off to the side.
Give some to little brother.
Remember where you came from.
I don't know how that works.
I don't know. They may be making East Texas A&M, the university, pay the mother campus for the right of using their name. I don't know.
The mother campus. I like that.
The mother campus.
How else would you call it? Flagship?
No, that sounds too nice for Texas A&M flagship.
We have our system-wide meeting, our annual, at the mother campus later on this month.
They don't talk that way.
No, they don't.
Not there.
No.
I was about to say that's.
So I just find that interesting how we were talking about it, and then it pops up, and I saw that yesterday that I was unaware. FSU Dave, I subscribe to his newsletter. Do you get his newsletter?
Mm-mm.
You don't?
No.
Yeah. So normally my morning routine as I'm listening to Morning Jocks is to read the Dublin Times, and then I read FSU Dave's newsletter. And I was reading the newsletter. And
so that's basically FSU Dave's equivalent of a quote tweet. So he'll take something that Don said
and
then
correct it.
He will blow it up, magnify it there in the newsletter, and then he points out all the mistakes that Don
all the
made.
inaccuracies.
Because as we learned yesterday, Don can never win an argument with FSU Dave because FSU Dave is a encyclopedia of sports knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
He is. Why are you laughing?
I'm not laughing.
She can't even hide it.
No, she's trying to hide. She's trying to hide. I was hoping the camera would get her, but.
Oh, wow. We've got some text coming in. Back to Philip Fulmer.
Fat Phil.
Cody says Fat Phil's favorite donut is his next one.
It's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Posey says that Conrad's cutting weight for the Surstrumming. The Stinky Fish Challenge. And Drake is asking, guys, do you think that Napier will let Steve Spurrier Jr. call plays?
Yeah, I read where Steve Spurrier Jr., I think, is joining the staff as...
He was at Tulsa last year.
He was.
We saw him at Protective Stadium.
I will never forget, I think it was a Thursday night game at Tulsa, and Spurrier was sitting up in one of the boxes, and they did an interview with him during the game, and he was wearing Tulsa gear. It was just weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it was weird when I saw Spurrier wearing Washington Redskins gear.
I don't know how to feel about Tulsa gear, the colors. Royal blue and the gold, and then you got a little red that kind of comes in there. I just don't know.
They have a uniform, like their colorway, it should be really good, but for some reason, I'm with you. It's just, there's something missing, or maybe one color too many.
Well, it's just doesn't seem to fit college football.
That's fair. Yeah.
It would look fine in a professional league. Oh, it's just weird. Cowboy wants to inform us on East Texas A&M University. Hey, Cowboy, what's up?
Hey, how are you guys doing? East Texas A&M originally was East Texas State University. Harvey Martin played there. Pat probably remembers him as a defensive
Dallas
lineman
Cowboys
for the Cowboys in the 70s.
Yep.
And Wade Wilson played quarterback at East Texas State, that played quarterback for the Vikings in the 80s. And
didn't he play for the
90s.
Saints too? Wade Wilson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they were Division II about 4 years ago. They went Division I, and Division I AA.
Right.
And
FCS.
in the early, in 2002 or 3, Texas A&M bought the school from East Texas State and changed the name to Texas A&M Commerce. But they changed the name last fall to kind of give it a more geographical deal where they could notice it. East Texas State A&M. There was a vote in there. You could vote for calling it Dallas A&M, but that didn't go over too well. So it's East Texas A&M. And I went to a football game over there with my son in the fall of 2022. They got a stadium that's probably not as big as Vestavia High School Stadium.
Vestavia's is bigger. We're looking at it right now.
Yeah, Landrum's got it pulled up on the monitor.
Memorial Stadium. Yeah.
I saw them play Incarnate Word 2022, and I was sitting in the stands with my son, and lo and behold, a guy comes right by me and sits down, and it's Hal Mummy. And I have a conversation with Hal Mummy for 2 to 3 quarters there. But, Incarnate Word was good, and G.J. Kinney got the Texas State job from that Incarnate Word team that year. They went out there and beat somebody I think they beat one of those North Dakota State out there, and then they lost to Sacramento State 63-62. And Cam Ward, quarterback at Incarnate Word in 2021. But Texas State, Hal Mummy told me they need money. They've gone to 1AA, and their facilities probably aren't as well. It's in a small town, and David Bailiff was the head coach there, but they let him go after the 22 season. Former Rice Owl head coach that did pretty well at Rice for 10, 12 years. They're trying to upgrade themselves to get competitive in the Southland. So I'm sure these SMU and Florida State games are money games to try to help that budget where they can improve their football program, because they hired a former East Texas State Commerce quarterback that was a coach in the Arena League to be the head coach now, and I think they'd have probably been better if they had kept Bailiff, but I guess they thought he could be more high-powered offense. But it was a good brand of football, and it was kind of fun. It was kind of a throwback in time. You didn't have all the big crowds to have to deal with. They had a nice little video board, jumbotron, whatever you want to call it. So.
Well, listen, Cowboy, we always appreciate your call, and that is extremely fascinating. Thank you so much. Always great to hear from Cowboy out in the Dallas Metroplex and kind of educating us on the East Texas A&M University Lions.
Don't you agree, based on that picture?
Oh, Vestavia's got a much better facility, without a doubt.
Thompson Reynolds Stadium?
No doubt.
Buddy Anderson Field, right?
I could probably name you, in our region alone, only a couple that would not meet what you just showed me. But hey, $450,000 from Florida State, and I assume that SMU is probably paying them ballpark, same thing. So there's a tenth of their overall athletic department budget on 2 games, which is $10 million. More three-man front on this Wednesday. This is Jocks 94.5. It is 1:21, Jocks 94.5 on this Wednesday. We're going to be down at the World of Wheels on Friday. Come on by and see us. We'll be there from 10 until 2. It's always one of our favorite events that we're a part of each and every year. So come by and see us. Myself, Landrum, and Molly will be in attendance there. We're not letting Conrad out of the studio because he's in trouble. He's on secret probation after yesterday.
Well, you don't show out like that in public.
No, he doesn't.
Well, I got kicked out of Social Taco. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to go back. It was bad.
It was pretty ugly before we got out of there yesterday. So.
Don tried to vouch for me, but even that wasn't enough.
Well, No Shoes Nation is headed to a new dimension in 2025. Kenny Chesney is live at the Sphere in Las Vegas for 12 shows this May and June, and you could be there. So one winner will score a trip for two to this once-in-a-lifetime concert experience, including round-trip air to Vegas, a 2-night stay at the Virgin Hotel, entry into the VIP pool party, and 2 VIP tickets to see Kenny Chesney live at the Sphere. To enter, text the national keyword beach to 95819. That's beach to 95819. Contest rules are available at jocksfm.com.
All right, so setting the stage tonight for college basketball in the Southeastern Conference, you got number 1 Auburn and LSU. That game is going to tip at 6 o'clock. You can hear the game right here on Jocks 94.5. Over on Jocks 2 100.5. Pregame show starts at 6:30. David Crane, Steve Mitchell on the call. I'll be part of that broadcast on the UAB Blazer Network as they will take on Tulsa tonight. Tip is at 7 o'clock. Blazers 12-8, 5-2 in the American.
Tease that green and gold report. What are we getting tonight? Come on.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm making myself a note. And you think I'm kidding?
No, I know you're not kidding. Bowling team is at Maryville this weekend. That'll be big. You've got tennis that's in action. You got one of the tennis teams are going to be in Starkville taking on Mississippi State. First serve 11 a.m., I believe, on Sunday. And then you have the men's tennis team is going to be competing at the Hoover Met Tennis Center. So I just wrote your green.
You want me to just cut that for you and send it to you?
I was about to ask if this will be the special guest tonight on the Green and Gold Report will be Landrum Roberts. This is what Landrum had to say today during 3-Man Front.
You think we'll meet? Oh, no. I was thinking of the World of Wheels where we're going to be able to meet Oscar Nunez.
From the office?
From the office.
He's there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Who's going to be there Friday?
Hey, listen.
Kristen Cage. You don't watch wrestling, do you?
You shouldn't have acted up yesterday.
I know.
That's what happens.
Oscar was going to be there.
Yep.
Need him to do my taxes.
Who was there? Didn't they used to have people, from the Andy Griffith show that would come? It was always seemed like there was somebody from the Andy Griffith show.
Or from that genre of television, that would come by.
Mm-hmm. You had JJ Walker, I think that
Dynamite.
There.
Yeah, he was there a couple of years ago.
He was there. Back from the 90210 days and also Sharknado, Ian Ziering.
Yes, that was a big get.
He it seemed like for about a 4-year stretch. Yeah, and also Sharknado. He was there for about a 4-year stretch, but they're going to have Star Wars characters. The Empire Strikes Bama is how they're advertising it. But that's all weekend long.
You should have seen Molly.
I'm so excited.
She just lit up like crazy. Will this be your first ever trip to the World of Wheels?
I've never been. Sorry,
wow.
Conrad. This
Get
is
an autograph
my
from
day.
Oscar for me.
Molly, this is something that might entertain you as well. The BMX stunt team's going to be there. High flying action from the High Rollers, BMX performing live.
I'm excited about
all weekend
Star
long.
Wars.
Of course you are. What's that about Stitch? The Lilo and Stitch. What's going on there?
Oh, Molly.
Stitch is going to be there?
Meet and have your picture made with your favorite character.
Oh, yay.
Costume characters.
This is the best day ever.
It just has, is that Stitch?
Yes, that is Stitch.
Yes.
Okay.
Is it a blue alien looking thing?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Stitch.
Right. Let's see what else Conrad's going to miss out on.
Just rub it in.
I was about to say, thanks, guys.
What if Tua was going to be there? Oh, that would crush you.
Surprise visit.
Something tells me I would be sick that day, and I would be coming to visit y'all at World of Wheels, and we'll figure this out here.
Tua would be there with Perry Ellis.
He would have his own booth.
He would, and Landrum could wear his shirt and have an icebreaker with Tua.
I think that shirt has already wore it one time, and we did it down to the Keys, and I told you I could not pull that look off here.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully somebody bought it from the thrift store that I donated to.
You already donated it?
Are you serious?
To a thrift
You've already
store?
got rid of it?
Yeah.
Why did you give it to him?
Yeah, I would have paid you more than the thrift store did.
I'm not. Well, I'm not.
Well,
gonna
he
say
didn't. No,
that.
he gave it to the thrift store to get his tax credit. He didn't.
I'll pay your taxes. Just go get me the shirt and we'll figure it out. I'll pay your taxes.
Seriously?
No.
No, I'm kidding. You don't have to pay my taxes. Would you like the shirt though?
No, it's fine.
I'm not 100%. Yeah, I am. No, I definitely gave that one away. Yep.
Mm.
You can get it at the thrift store.
Do you?
I don't even ask for.
gonna come
I don't
on the
ask for a
show,
receipt. By the
Landrum.
way, I don't. I don't ask for a receipt, and I don't write it off on my taxes.
Right.
I know it's going to a good place. It makes. Yeah,
I believe you.
makes me feel good when
I
I'm out
believe
in
you.
I'm out in public,
You're a good person, I guess.
and I see someone that's wearing maybe one of my former items of clothing.
Wearing a $110 Tua Tagovailoa Perry Ellis shirt.
It was not that much money. I saw somebody with a Husky Pass T-shirt on the other day. I was like, I don't think he works for Pat.
Should have asked
It
him.
was right down here, as a matter of fact.
On Green
Beaver?
Springs?
Hmm?
On Green Springs?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
They found you, Pat.
I think it said
They're
Husky
tracking you
Pass.
down.
Maybe it said something else.
Whoops. Well, never mind.
There's a few options there.
Very much so.
I got a lot of compliments though. That one time I wore it down there.
But
Mhm.
then you got rid of it. Why?
Did your wife think you look good in it?
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Then, yeah.
Yeah.
I wear stuff I don't like sometimes just because Paige tells me to. Like my socks.
Yeah, I
every
was about
day.
to say socks.
Yeah.
Fresh underwear.
We have gotten a lot of feedback today, and we always appreciate it, on the which historical sports dynasty, Molly, do you hate the most? Not you, Molly, but
No.
that was the question. What's the update?
Well, the answers to all of Conrad's teams are the New York Yankees, Alabama football, the LA Lakers, or the Patriots. And right now winning, and they've been winning all day, are the Yankees with 38.1%. Alabama's still in second with 26%. The Lakers with 19.8%, and the Pats with 16.1%.
So in retrospect, it could have just been, which team does Conrad root for you hate the most? And we could just put Alabama and the Yankees on there, and that would have been the majority of the vote.
BB texted in. BB just texted in. First Lady BB of the Social Taco Jocks 3-Man Front Club.
That's a long name.
That is a long name. There's an acronym in there somewhere. Can't stand the Yankees. My Twins get rolled by them every season. Aaron Judge belongs in Landrum's circus.
Yeah, the Twins have a horrible track record against the Yankees. Doesn't go well for them. I guess Aaron Judge, just because he's big, he'd be in the circus.
One more steroid and he could die. I'm just kidding.
He doesn't do steroids.
I know he doesn't juice.
That
I
we
actually
know
like
of.
Aaron
That we
Judge.
know
It's a
of.
shame that you guys gave him $1 billion to stay there
Say
and
he's
suffer.
likable. He's likable.
He did not do great in the postseason.
No, he was very bad. Very bad.
Cody. He has come up with a new challenge between FSU Dave and Conrad. Should be if FSU wins, Dave gets to hit Conrad in the face. Whoa. Whoa.
That is not sound.
But when Bama wins, maybe with a tennis racket.
I think I'd rather him just punch me in the face. The
But
tennis
when
racket would
Bama
hurt
wins,
more.
Conrad gets to hit Dave in the face.
Okay.
And then open the can of fish and make him smell it.
Okay, so that one actually benefits me more. Okay. We'll see if Dave is down for that.
Thank you for the text. A couple of them I could not read. Old Landrum would have. I'm just not going to do it.
It's the new and improved Landrum.
We missed the
I don't know
old
if it's
Landrum.
improved, but it's new. It is improved.
All right, we'll do some Pat Ponders next, brought to you by Courtesy GMC. This is Jocks 94.5. Each day I come up with 5 questions. The gang gives me their best answers. Brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful. This is Pat Ponders.
I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
It's time for Pat Ponders.
Brought to you by Courtesy GMC out in Trustful. Don't drive anywhere else. Drive to Trustful. Go by and see Drew Lally and Josh Gargis, the fantastic team there at Courtesy GMC. Visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. Question number 1. How many regular season losses will Auburn basketball have prior to the SEC tournament starting? They currently have 1.
I'll go 4. So they finished 15-3 in conference play. Now, they still have, how many games do they have left?
I believe
They had the
11.
long week. So are they 7-0 or are they 6-0?
This will be their 8th game in conference
So
play
they have
tonight.
11 more, including tonight.
Yeah.
So 11 more. And so that would mean them going 8-3 down the stretch. You still have Alabama away. You got Kentucky away. You got Florida at home.
Alabama at home.
Texas A&M still on that schedule. You got to go to Ole Miss this weekend. Ole Miss comes back, return trip. So, yeah, I'll stick with 4.
Yeah, I was going to go with 3. I think that they will split with Alabama, probably, lose at Coleman, win in Neville, something like that. And then, trip up somewhere along the way. It's the SEC. It's going to be difficult. So I would have them going 16-2, I guess, in SEC play, but 3 losses overall.
So does that win the conference?
Yeah.
It does.
I was also going to go 3.
3 losses before the SEC
What about you,
tournament?
Pat? What do you think?
I was thinking 2. I think they might only slip up 1 time.
Really?
And I think it might be in Coleman Coliseum. I think everywhere else they run the table.
You like LSU plus the points tonight?
I do.
Yeah. I don't blame you.
Might tease it.
They haven't won a game in conference play on the road by double digits yet, have they?
No.
South Carolina by 3. You had Texas by what, 4? 5.
Georgia by 2.
2. I was about to say they've all been under 5 points.
Yeah. All right, question number 2. Day 1 of the Senior Bowl wrapped up yesterday with the on-the-field workouts. Ole Miss's Jackson Dart was listed as the quarterback that had the worst day down in Mobile. Meanwhile, Dylan Gabriel...
Did Jalen Milroe not throw yesterday?
Do what?
Sorry, I had to.
Meanwhile, Dylan Gabriel was said to have the best day from the quarterback standpoint. So which quarterback, Dart or Gabriel, do you believe will get a paycheck the longest in the National Football League?
Even with his injury history, I'm going to go Dylan Gabriel.
He just screams, and maybe it's better than this, but he just screams 12-year backup in the NFL to me.
Yeah.
Like a guy that you're not going to, you're probably not going to sweat it too much if you have to play him, but he's not going to be viewed as a starter coming out of college. So, yeah, I think Gabriel will have a good career as long as, like you said, his injuries.
I see Jackson Dart pursuing other things.
Yeah.
I was also going to go Dylan Gabriel.
Aviation, perhaps?
I was going to say, what other things?
Maybe he'll become a flight attendant on his own jet. I wonder if that deal's still good.
He just needs to manage his brother Diesel's NIL because he's going to have a bunch of offers with a name like that, I would imagine.
So, Molly, do you agree with Landrum that, you said what, like a 12-year veteran in the NFL?
For Dylan Gabriel? Yeah, he's like just a backup, like a journeyman kind of guy that just hangs around and has a solid.
You just give me an idea. Maybe he opens up his own sports marketing agency and he becomes a go-between for NIL deals for kids like Diesel that are coming up and others. And they call it Bullseye.
Oh, that's pretty good. I like that. That's good.
All right, question number 3.
Was that him yesterday?
He looks bloated.
That's Diesel.
That's the
Oh, that's Diesel.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All right, question number 3. Fever guard Caitlin Clark has told the NBA she is disinclined to participate in the All-Star Game 3-point contest next month that could include Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Indications are the league is still in discussions with Clark's representatives. Sources said Clark is not interested in shooting 3-pointers off of a ball rack, considering her practice routine consists of only catch and shoot 3-pointers or shots off the dribble. And unless she is persuaded otherwise, she will decline the invitation by the NBA to be a part of that event. Now, if she were to accept the invitation, would this be must-see TV for you, seeing
Absolutely.
Caitlin Clark against Steph Curry?
I understand where she's coming from, but could it really screw you up that much shooting off a ball rack and going back to your normal practice routine? But this is about something, in my opinion, that's bigger than you. You've already brought so many eyeballs for your fantastic play and you're phenomenal to watch. Get out there and do it.
It was cool. Was it last year where you had Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu, right? They did the 3-point
And they're talking about her being a part of it again this year.
Yeah, and that was fun. I enjoyed watching that. It was entertaining.
And I heard what you said and her reasoning behind it, but maybe more so she's afraid going out there doing that and
doing poorly
and looking bad doing it.
I'm with you though. It's an all-star game event. Look, if anybody has a reason to complain, I know some people do, but I mean the home run derby, like people are literally altering their swings, and you can see where the second half of a season that has an effect on how they play. You can pick up a basketball off of a rack, and in my opinion, and like you said, it's about the attention you brought to women's basketball and continuing to elevate it.
Because what Pat asked, yes, I would absolutely set an alarm, set a notification.
Right.
I would watch that.
In your jersey.
I don't have the jersey
We're
yet.
still waiting on the jersey. But no, I'd definitely watch it because, like Conrad said, I loved it last year when it was Steph and Sabrina. I'd love to see Caitlin Clark.
She's playing hardball with the NBA.
Well, you know,
Pay her money.
She's got Taylor Swift in her ear now, you know, telling her what
What's
to do.
What's she corrupting young Caitlin with?
I don't know, but they were at the Chiefs game, you know, hanging out. So
they were whispering in each other's ears.
That's right.
Next thing you know, she's gonna be drinking, smoking cigarettes,
wearing that red lipstick.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the other tight end? Gray? Maybe she can date him.
Those short pants.
There you go. Sorry, McCaffrey. I think they're still together.
All right, it's a great segue. You guys didn't know that this was the next question, but Chiefs coach Andy Reid will make his 6th Super Bowl appearance, tying Don Shula for the second most behind Bill Belichick, who has 9. Is Andy Reid, in your opinion, the second best head coach in the history of the National Football League?
Man.
Yesterday I asked you
Yeah, the whole
yesterday I asked you
quarterback.
about Patrick Mahomes being number 2. Now I'm asking you, is Andy Reid the second best coach in the history of the NFL?
I don't even know where I would rank him, but there's been so many great coaches with historic careers in that league. I'll say I feel confident in saying that Andy Reid is definitely a top 10, but I don't know where I would rank him.
Yeah, I was going to say I would probably throw him in the top 5, but he's not above Shula and Belichick for me.
I wouldn't put him in number 2,
Bill Walsh.
but maybe top 5. But not number 2.
Maybe top 5?
Yeah, but not number 2.
He's just one of those coaches that I feel like just maybe his personality, because he's just such a, seems like such a carefree kind of guy that you almost forget about the resume that he has. Because, I mean, he took the Eagles to the Super Bowl with Donovan McNabb. They didn't win. He won a Super Bowl when he was with the Packers.
Would Jimmy Johnson be in your top 10?
For me, no, not in the NFL.
He'd be top 20 though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He'd be in the conversation. I don't think he'd be up there. I would put, like you said, Bill Walsh. Like I'd put Cowher over him.
I mean, if you're going back to days that we've only seen highlights in black and white.
How about Vince Lombardi?
Well, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, how many NFL titles Vince Lombardi won before the invention of the Super Bowl? Like, we only think about what Green Bay did the first couple of years when the Super Bowl
The
came
Super
in.
Bowl era, yeah.
But he won NFL championships before then. So, Chuck Noll, what he did in Pittsburgh, incredible. So,
Let's see who else we did not name.
Dan Campbell.
Number 1.
He's yet to make it to the Super Bowl.
I know.
Kind of tough to put him in that list.
Wow. George Hallis, we didn't mention him. I mean, Mike Tomlin's still an active coach.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be in the top 10 all time, though.
No.
He's one of the best of the modern era.
All right, final question for today.
I mean, heck, Mike McCarthy comes in, time wins at 12.
What non-SEC football team, and Molly can't name Nebraska, could you see yourself being a rabid fan for?
This just goes back to being a kid, and I specifically loved 2 players on this team when I was in middle school. I loved West Virginia when Pat White and Steve Slayton were there with Rich Rod. I absolutely.
You love that punter, Pat McAfee.
That's right. That's
you had
right.
a Pat McAfee poster on your wall.
That's absolutely right. But outside of Alabama, for whatever reason, I always liked West Virginia, and watching them play was so fun with running the option. And so, yeah, I guess I would go West Virginia.
See, for me, outside of obviously Nebraska and the SEC, I'd probably go North Carolina. And not because of Bill Belichick, but my grandfather was from Cullowhee, was a huge Tar Heel. Loved North Carolina. It was always playing in his house, so probably the Tar Heels.
I can't believe I'm about to admit this.
Uh-oh.
In Colorado.
What?
Yeah. I've always loved the uniform, always loved the helmet. Going back to when you had Cordell, that group that was there, I pulled for them. And I thought it'd be really cool to go to a game in Boulder.
Did you have a Joel Klatt poster as a young adult?
No. But it was Colorado for me. Because they were far enough away where you could kind of separate yourself from your SEC fandom and go, you know what?
It's a good one. I appreciate the honesty.
That is today's Pat Hunters, brought to you by Courtesy GMC in Trussville. Visit them in Trussville right off of I-459 exit 32 on Edwards Lake Road.
And you might think I'm bull junking, but I'm not.
I believe you.
Go Buffs. What are we going to do without Shooter and Travis, though? I'm already talking like a fan. We continue.
You're a fan.
150 here on the show. Any portion of the show that you missed, you can always find it there at jocksfm.com, the 3-Man Front podcast. Always a lot of fun. Brian Edwards in the first hour told us that he actually likes Alabama on the road, a slight underdog as they take on Mississippi State. Tip off at 8 o'clock there in Starkville. On the call will be Chris Stewart, voice of the Crimson Tide. He joined us courtesy of Craneworks in the 11 o'clock hour. And then Sean Fox from down in the boot updating us on not only LSU basketball as they host Auburn tonight, but LSU football, Brian Kelly, the expectations heading in to next season. I always tell you about our friends at Prize Picks, and I appreciate the Great Jocks listeners who have actually taken me up on it. They downloaded, they signed up for an account, and they are off and rolling. Drake, who is a constant contributor to the show on the text line, just a couple of weeks ago, he downloaded the app, and on Monday he texted in and he said, wow, it really is that easy. And he's been having success, and I've heard from other folks that have had success as well. It's the Prize Picks app. You can download it. The big game is still coming up. And with Prize Picks, they make it really, really simple. They're going to give you options. You're going to pick two of those options in particular matchups, and you're just going to say more or less. So, for example, several times this season when Alabama's been playing a basketball game, you have had Mark Sears being featured. Will Mark Sears score more than or less than 21.5 points or something to that effect? And you simply say more or you say less, and you do that on two different options. $5, your first $5 play, you enter promo code WJOX, and you're going to get $50 instantly. No strings attached. $5 play, whether you win or lose that play, they're going to kick $50 into your account instantly. And the big game is almost here, and we know about that one coming up next Sunday. It's now or never. Don't miss out on the last football game of the season with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the game. Prize Picks also giving away one free pick for the game where one of the starting quarterbacks will only need to throw for 1 yard to win. And if you're correct on at least one more stat projection, you can win real cash. Prize Picks, download the app today and get your account set up. $5 play, win or lose, you get $50 instantly. But you have to enter promo code WJOX, and we appreciate Prize Picks, and that should be a lot of fun.
Well, sometimes we see good, sometimes we see bad. This is the worst thing I've seen.
This is the worst thing I've seen.
Been in quarantine, and I need to get out and party. Woo! What's better than beach and a few drinks and Jeeps? Man, it can't get better than that. Law enforcement's definitely made their visibility and made people chill out and not be as crazy. The cops are doing their job as long as they don't be mean to people who are actually being innocent. Then I'm all gravy, baby.
Well, let's head back to the state of Michigan because we haven't talked about them enough today, have we? So this is a story that if you're on social media, you've probably seen this over the last couple of days because it's been everywhere, at least that I've seen. But this is a story involving a woman from Michigan and a lawsuit that she has now filed against Lyft, the rideshare service. So if you're not familiar with the story, the woman, her name is Deja Blanding, and she resides up there in Wayne County, Michigan. So a couple of weeks ago, during the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, so I guess 2 weekends ago, she was attempting to attend a watch party at her cousin's house. So in order to get to her cousin's house, she orders a Lyft. The Lyft then shows up at her front door. She attempts to get in the Lyft to go to the cousin's party, but the driver refused to let her enter his vehicle. And the reason for this is that Miss Blanding is very much so overweight. I do not have an exact measurement, but based on other stories I've seen, it's anywhere between 450 and 550 pounds.
Wait, 450?
Yeah, that is the low end. I've seen her reported at 450 pounds. I've also seen as high as 550 pounds. So we'll just call it 500 pounds and meet in the middle. But an obese woman, she attempted to get in the Lyft. The driver then locked the car doors and drove off and refused to let her into the car. The driver said that due to her size, that she is supposed to order in a Lyft XL or whatever, a larger vehicle. to accommodate that, and that he has had this problem with riders in the past where overweight passengers, I guess, did damage to his tires or his wheels, the suspension, something like that with his vehicle. So he declined to accept the ride and drove off. So she then sues or files a lawsuit against Lyft for discrimination, and it is a 7-figure lawsuit. So the lawsuit was filed this Monday in Wayne County courts there in Michigan. And in a statement released by her attorney, they claim that, quote, under the law, refusing someone transportation due to their weight is no different than refusing someone transportation based on race or religion. Discrimination of any kind should never be tolerated in our society. So as it stands right now, Lyft is facing a 7-figure lawsuit from Ms. Blanding because she was refused a ride in a Lyft for being overweight.
Did just get some breaking news. NCAA beach volleyball, it was scheduled to be in the LA area for the next 2 years, then coming back to Gulf Shores for 5 years after that due to the wildfires. The event back in Gulf Shores, that just announced